You can't. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here. Happy New Year. Welcome to 2026. We appreciate you joining us. We know you got many choices to make every single morning, and we're always so grateful that you choose to spend some time with us. So thank you, thank you, thank you. Don't forget there's a gifting goal today. If you want to contribute to that, please join our team. Do all the things that are necessary. We are crowdfunded here. You want to support the channel, you can do that at Factsstillmatter on Cash App, on PayPal, on Venmo. Thank you in advance. Appreciate you all. Also, if you've not been to the link tree in my bio in a while, head on over there. Links to we had an issue with the merch store last week, but that's been resolved. You can check out the items that are available there. Also, please consider joining our Discord. If you're not yet in our Discord, or if you have a difficult time joining, either copy the link, put it in browser. As long as you have Discord installed, that should bring you right to our Discord, or reach out to one of our moderators, and they can help you too. So thank you in advance for that. Tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Help us get out to the FYP. We appreciate you. Well, the calendar's flipped. 2026. Obviously, this is a big year. I tend to try to look forward. I mentioned this when we did our New Year's Eve show. I don't generally make resolutions. I make kind of small goals, only because I don't think we give ourselves enough credit for the things that we accomplish. I know a lot of people talk about like losing weight, for example. Like if you set a goal to lose 40 pounds and you only lose 20, would that be a failure? I would say no, you lost 20 pounds. So I just tend to look at things, in little incremental goals here and there. For example, my office where I work out of, where I do our show from, has been a little bit disorganized. So I spent most of the day yesterday gutting it, cleaning it. Looks great, feels comfortable, bunch of stuff like that. You all do your own thing, I understand, but just, take it easy on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. Don't beat yourself up too much. All right. I want to talk about this year because this year is an important year for all of us, obviously, with, it's, just a new year. I know a lot of people, yours truly included, freaking out about healthcare. I certainly am. It's really complicated. I'm trying to crunch some numbers yesterday, and it's not a pretty picture, but that's just life. But we've got missions. We've got midterm elections, we've got primaries, we've got all kinds of things. And from the energy that we've seen over the course of this past year, with special elections here and there, with primary challenges, with people getting inaugurated, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Our commitment to you remains the same. On a personal front, I will never lie to you. You may not agree with everything I say, but I will never lie to you. I will always protect this space as best I can. In fact, just before we started the show today, I'd asked our mod team about playing some sound from some of the people who were victimized by the trafficking network fronted by the president. And we made the decision collectively that I'm not going to play some of that sound. The reason we're doing that is because we don't want to be in a position where we're traumatizing and or re-traumatizing people who've been exposed or been victimized by abuse in the past. That's our commitment to you. That commitment remains. What we will do is we'll try to continue to focus on the cover-up itself and the people involved. We will touch on things as high level as best we can. For example, I'm going to read to you a page from Virginia Dufree's book today that's not specific about her abuse, but how far those involved were willing to go to cover it up and or protect the people who are perpetrating the crimes, not the people who committed them. Not the people who I should say who were victims of them. So that's our goal. In addition, we will continue to hold people accountable. The mainstream media is failing us. It is failing us like I've never seen before. It's all state run now. We understand the pressure from the administration. We understand the lies that have been told and how to the lengths at which corporate media will go to continue to receive advertising dollars, to not lose audience share, to not have their licenses suspended, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll do, again, what we do. Like I've told you guys before, we, as a news show, we have made the commitment internally that we would rather be last and right than first and wrong. So we'll be careful as to how we share information. And I would just ask all of you, I know everybody wants to break news. Everybody wants to be in on it. We have a process here where we don't share things until we until we can confirm, we corroborate our sources. You guys know how I feel about sourcing properly and giving credit where credit is due. So we'll continue to do that. That's our commitment this year. I will be on the road at some point over the course of the year, starting to put some pieces together, likely this spring once we get through the winter months, which, well, in Vermont will be like July. But once we get to that point, we'll be reaching out to you because we're going to need your support. Not only through potential fundraising, but also, hospitality, connections in your neighborhood. I'm building a network now with indivisible chapters across the country. So this is important to me. This is something that it just sort of popped into my brain and has taken on a life of its own. And I want to commend many of you who've reached back out to me and said the things that we've talked about here in the true do something spirit has inspired people to actually do something. Doesn't always have to be about voting. Doesn't always have to be about registering people to vote or working on campaigns. It could literally just be helping out your neighbors, your friends in need. So that's our commitment. That is our commitment today, this year for you. It's really nothing new. I just, we'll use the calendar turn as a reminder that the things that we've been doing here all along is what we will continue to do. So thank you all for being here. Happy New Year, and let's move. So a few things that I want to cover. We're going to talk a lot about Jack Smith's testimony last week because, well, 2.5 weeks ago, but the testimony has become public. It is incredibly damning. Now, I know that because we live in this, this divided media landscape where we have a large chunk of the population who will just continue to believe lies, misinformation, disinformation, and propaganda. And then you have, the Justice Department under the previous administration who was not weaponized, and we'll play the sound to cover that, who was not weaponized, who was literally doing their job following the evidence. And because you're right, you can't fake a deposition. Well, you could lie in a deposition, but that's not what Mr. Smith did. We can back that up. We know that specifically because of not only the indictment itself, but the superseding indictment. So we're going to play that a little bit today. I also want to continue to talk about, how the president just continues to lie and, attacking the media, raging incoherently, blaming the Democrats. What about Biden? It's some point, that blame game goes away. Now we know definitively that there's bullshit connected to the inflation numbers. We know it's a lie. We know that they manipulated the data to exclude certain items that would have driven that inflation number above the 2.7% as posted. We know that there's more to the story behind the 4.3% GDP. We know that because consumers, middle class and low-income workers, low-income families are not purchasing items. We know that from the data. Which means, obviously, if you have tariffs, that means you're not bringing in as many imports. Obviously, that's going to impact the GDP, and we certainly know that those that have means are the ones that are contributing to capitalism. So we know all this, okay? Food prices are not down. So again, here's the problem. People on the right still believe that if the inflation rate goes from 3% to 2.8%, they think prices are going down. No, prices are just going up at a slower rate. So this is the fight that we have this year, right? This is the fight that we have. The fight that we have is to continue to push through misinformation, disinformation. We take it very seriously that you put faith in us to report the news. We have our way of doing it, as you guys know. We'll try to connect the dots as best we can. What does this mean? What does that mean? And because the mainstream media is failing you, they're not willing to go beyond. They're not willing to give you the reasons why. Like, for example, why, when we talk about the 2.7% inflation rate that was published, why do we not say, hey, that's a good sign? It's because we can't trust the information because we know definitively that some of the elements used to calculate that number were removed. Similarly, when it comes to the GDP. So you can't continue to look at information and ignore it. So that's the reality. People want to talk about gas prices. Gas prices are always lower in the winter. And yes, we can say that gas prices overall are down. I think it's 12 cents since last year. But diesel prices are up. So that's part of what those conversations don't have, right? Oh, you said, what? Okay, anyway. So that's our commitment, right? We're going to talk about Minnesota. Don't worry. Don't worry. That's a nice deflection. In fact, that's a great place to start. So this is another example of the faith that our woefully misinformed friends on the right have. They can't talk about anything else other than this YouTuber who's got a history of spreading conspiracy theories, who's got a history of anti-immigration sentiment. Minnesota is a total red herring. But that's your focus. Okay, then fine. Then we'll debunk it. So let's start now. So there's been reporting on this. This entire story is complete fucking nonsense. And even he himself has been exposed by acknowledging that he went to the daycare facilities when they were closed. And this is the problem with people on the right. You seem to think, most of you probably don't even have kids. Most of you seem to think you could just walk into a daycare facility. Just tiptoe right on over there. Nothing to see here. So let's get into this story, because this has been frustrating me, that it's so easy to look past this complete fucking idiot who all of a sudden, big picture, other people are now doing the same thing. This is what I was worried about. Other sort of, I'm not going to call this guy a journalist. He's a sensationalist, okay? Trying to capitalize financially on this sort of expose. All right? It's nonsense. Here's the story.
Who calls himself an independent journalist and was a guest at Trump's Antifa roundtable for right-wing influencers back in October, posted a video on December 26th called "I Exposed Minnesota's billion-dollar fraud scandal." It has gotten 1.4 million views on YouTube and over 100 million views on Twitter in 3 days. It caught Trump's attention and received praise from the likes of J.D. Vance and FBI Director Kash Patel. It has spurred on federal and state investigations and instigated responses from officials across the federal and Minnesota state governments. This is just bad journalism. In the day of independent journalists, no-name 23-year-olds with no training who can pick up a camera and show up anywhere asking outlandish questions no one can answer and putting dramatic music in the background, they can convince a surprising amount of the public that they're doing hard-hitting investigative journalism. In his viral video exposing Minnesota's fraud scandal, Nick Shirley interviews a man named David, no last name provided, who has been doing his own research to discover Somali fraud in Minnesota, which includes numbers on a piece of paper that he likes to wave around and visiting child daycare centers upwards of 100 times to see if he can get a look at the children. Before they head out to investigate the fraud, David warns Shirley that these people are incredibly violent.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Shirley and David,
with no evidence, of course. This gentleman never produced his last name. Okay, so again, my friends on the right, those of you that are in here, it would be nice if you could literally just listen. Because the thing is that if you are comfortable continuing to be lied to and continue to be made to look a fool, then go about your day. But if you would really like to try to understand the truth behind this story, then pay attention, okay?
go to a child care center and determine that because they cannot see in and the doors are locked in the middle of the day, then that means there is fraud. There couldn't possibly be children inside this center that two grown men and a cameraman can't just wander into freely. Clearly fraud. Shirley then points out as a complete non sequitur that the recently redesigned Minnesota flag looks suspiciously like the Somali flag.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at the Minnesota state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag of Somalia.
Okay, so let's talk about that for a second. And by the way, for real, you're for fake. Libs defending fraud is hilarious. Have you ever heard any of us ever defend fraud? The problem is, for real, is that your president is literally pardoning fraudsters. People who have stolen money to the tune of billions of dollars from victims, people's investments, people's financial future. You're the one that defends fraud. Fraud should be exposed. Anybody who commits fraud should be tried. If the evidence is there and they're found guilty, they should be sent to fucking jail. What you're unaware of is, because you're a simp for this kind of shit too, is that this investigation has been going on for a very long time. I think there's like 70 indictments, charges. So pay attention. If you truly cared about fraud, then your comment should be, Donald Trump should not have pardoned fraudsters. But why can't you do that? Oh, I know, because you just need attention. Got it. So the claim about the flags. So I'm going to show you something. All right. This is the Somali flag. Okay. This is the Somali flag. This is the new Minnesota flag. Now, what Nick Shirley wants the gullible people like For Real to believe is that the Minnesota government patterned their flag after Somalia. By the way, this was a contest that went statewide, and this is what the state of Minnesota decided. So again, this is the Somali flag, and this is the new Minnesota flag. Now, you know, if you did a little bit of research, you would understand that there are lots of flags that have blue, different shades of blue and white stars. But again, because you are all so gullible, you'll believe that this was intentional. I forget what the population, 0.001% of the population of Minnesota is of Somali descent, but that's fine. You guys can continue to believe and show us how gullible you actually are. Nothing to see here though, right? Cool. Same blue. It's not the same blue. Are you that desperate, bro? Are you that desperate? Let's see. Is it the same blue? Let's see. I'm not an expert on color. Okay, that's interesting. That's kind of like a robin's egg blue, and that looks a little bit more teal to me. But again, this is how desperate you are for fake. But again, nothing to see here, right? Totally fine. Totally fine. That's my point. Right? The desperation. I will say it again. I will say it to those of you in the back. Fraud should be investigated. Fraud should not be forgiven. If you are a person who commits fraud, then you should be held accountable, which is exactly what's been happening. And by the way, for any Trump supporter to literally say fraud, then I would like you to defend why it is the president continues to pardon fraudsters. We'll talk about that more in just a moment.
Because both are blue and have a star. Stars in the color blue are very unique for flags, as we all know. The clearest answer is that there was a conspiracy to make the Minnesota flag look like the Somali flag. Not that we had a whole-ass contest to pick a new flag, which included a statewide open submission of flag ideas, which received over 2,000 submissions, including drawings from children and also just a photo of Duke, the dog mayor of Cormorant Village. But yeah, no, it's a Somali conspiracy. The problem for Nick Shirley and the type of people who fall for this investigative journalism is that two things can be true at the same time, and they really struggle with the cognitive reasoning required for that level of critical thinking. There can be fraud happening. Some of the fraud could be committed by people of Somali origin, and also the Somali community as a whole can be mostly made up of good, law-abiding, tax-paying people. Just like the white person community or the black community. The crimes of individuals do not equate to proclivity for crime in a whole community of people. And when you make sweeping statements to the contrary, these people are dangerous, they're insular and secretive. All fraud is being committed by Somali immigrants. That is, in fact, racism. You are equating an individual or group of individuals to the entire group based on their ethnicity. You are bunching them all together and slapping them with negative labels. That is racism. And it is people like Nick Shirley who are exploiting the racism and increased fear of immigrants to get views and sensationalize real news stories.
So again, you can choose to believe what you want. You can choose to believe what you want. And here's the weird part about it is that when pressed, when we talk about taking funds from children's cancer charities, or we talk about the fraud that is connected to Trump University, or the fact that Donald Trump himself found civilly liable in court for fraud, pardoning numerous people who committed fraud, including, what's this guy's name? Let's see, his name is Philip Esformes. He ran a $1.2 billion nursing home fraud, Medicare, and Trump pardoned him in 2020. Nothing to see here, though, right? That's totally fine with you because that's not fraud. And then your argument would be, and this is the worst part, your argument now is, because I've seen it happen, is, well, the president can pardon anybody he wants. Yes, that is true. Doesn't address the fact that the claims that you're making against an entire community falls flat on its face because you fucking cowards don't give a shit about fraud. This is how pathetic you are. This is literally how pathetic you are. You've got some of the biggest fraudsters in American history pardoned by the president. As long as they're kind to him and considerate to him and praise him or donate to his campaign, there's nothing to see here. So we have sufficiently, well, Nick Shirley himself realized, pardoning CZ and others, David Gentile, all the drug crimes, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But again, nothing to see here, right? The only fraud that exists, by the way, I think one of the ringleaders of this fraud in Minneapolis, in Minnesota, was a white woman. I think it's ridiculous that people preyed on COVID money and use C-19 money during that time and were found guilty of fraud. Absolutely, throw their asses in fucking jail. You see how easy that is? Do you see how easy that is? Do you think any of us are sitting here defending fraudsters? Fuck no. Yeah, Amy Bach, exactly. Fuck no. But you guys are. You're defending fraudsters. So you see what I mean? When you put all your eggs in the basket supporting a con man, liar, fraudster, convicted felon, twice impeached, 4-time indicted, sexually abusing fraudster, name on a list convicted felon, that's what happens. Steve Bannon stealing money, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Rick Scott, Medicare fraud, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But nothing to see here, right? It's all about Minnesota. Charles Kushner, Brett Favre. So you don't care about fraud, just like you don't care about law and order. You don't care about drug boats. You don't give a shit. You don't care about it one bit. You care about making brown people suffer. You like your boom booms. Your inadequacies in life gets you all fired up when you see boats being blown up without evidence. You don't care. The Chrisleys, yeah. You don't give a shit. You don't care. Just continue to act a fool, though, because we see you. You don't care about kids. You certainly don't. You don't give a shit about children after they're born. You want to control women. You don't care. We see you. We see you. Just keep that in mind, okay? There's a couple more examples. I think we got this one. No, then we're going to get into the swearing in of Mayor Zohran Mamdani, because that is got the right just completely freaked out. On this topic, the names, let's see, Nick Shirley, Savannah Hernandez, and Cam Higbee were all part of that right-wing influencer roundtable where Jack Posobiec was there and others were saying, oh, Antifa this and all these people were brought in. So the president himself has given credibility to these individuals, right? These individuals that are spreading lies, misinformation, and untruths. It's like 14 million views is what Nick Shirley got for that video in Minnesota with no evidence whatsoever. None. In fact, when you press people who are perpetuating the bullshit in this space, they don't even know what the crimes are. Oh, brown people did fraud in Minnesota. You don't even know what the allegations are. You have no fucking clue. No fucking clue. But that's fine. That's fine. Nothing to see here. Do I have the sound? I want to play Jessica Tarloff because she was, of course, at it again. I think I have it. Hang on one second. We're going to get into Jack Smith's testimony today because it's so damning. That's just beyond reproach. I think I have it. Hang on one second. Here you go. Because she's right.
You should take it seriously, and I'm particularly upset, and I said this now the third time, that people took COVID money, abused that while folks were dying, while kids weren't allowed to go to school. The country was completely in uproar, rightly so, people scared out of their minds.
Correct.
But Donald Trump and his administration has not taken fraud seriously. You have Philip Esworm, who was the healthcare executive, speaking of healthcare, which is part of this, a nursing home mogul, I didn't even know you could be one, orchestrated the largest healthcare fraud scheme in U.S. history, $1.3 billion, commuted by Trump. David Gentile, the private equity guy, $1.6 billion, he defrauded people. Trump commuted his sentence. And then an oldie but a goodie, obviously Trump University, which had to pay $25 million settlement because it was a scam. Do not go out there and say this is all a liberal problem if you don't want to look under the hood of your own car.
Anybody care to comment? For real, you little pussy ass bitch. You care to comment on that? You don't care about fraud. You don't give a shit. You don't care at all. If you did, you would be like, it was absolutely deplorable and disgusting that the president of the United States pardoned these people who committed fraud. But birds of a feather. It's the same reason you guys don't think the things that Charlie Kirk or the president said are racist. That's because you're racist. That's because you don't think the things that they say are bigoted or transphobic. It's because you're a bigot and you're transphobic. Of course you wouldn't say that. Of course you would. You know, you'll take the word of the Department of Justice right now. The people that have been lying to you all summer. You think they have credibility, but the Biden Department of Justice, who is investigating crimes against the president, they're all corrupt. That's where you're at. You'll take the word of people that have been lying to you over and over and over again, and your only defense is, what about Biden? Am I wrong? Am I wrong about that? No, I'm not. You are now taking the word of a 22-year-old YouTuber who has a history of anti-immigrant sentiment, who is a conspiracy theorist, who is a bona fide fucking grifter, and you are taking his word for it. You are taking his word for it. That's how much you have been indoctrinated and poisoned. That's what's happened. That is what's happened. But why? For what? To what end? To what end?
So yeah, I just wanted to.
You can unmute. What's on your mind?
Just about Nick Shirley.
Okay, what about him?
So did you? How much did you see of the story?
I've watched the whole thing. How much have you seen?
The whole thing? How long was the whole thing?
So he's got numerous videos about it. I watched the video. I've read his background. Are you aware of any of that?
Well, yeah, I was just curious how long the video was that you watched.
I watched the entire thing. I'm asking you. Tell me the story. What are the allegations?
The allegations are a bunch of daycares are doing fraud.
Okay, so and then how? And what's the evidence?
The evidence. That's why I was asking if you watched it, because if you watch the whole thing,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you to tell me what the evidence is.
Sir, you didn't watch the whole thing.
I'm asking you to tell me what the evidence is. Go ahead.
Okay, so somebody that actually notified Nick Shirley, that has been documenting all.
Who's the somebody?
He's in his David. He's in his video.
Yeah, the guy David without sharing his last. The guy David without sharing his last name. That guy.
Yeah, that guy.
Yeah, okay. So we don't know that person's last name, and all he does is walk around with a newspaper with a piece of paper with numbers on it. Is that evidence?
Well, if you maybe not to you,
I'm asking you. Is that evidence?
So he let people take pictures of it.
I'm asking you. Is that evidence? I'm asking you a question. Is that evidence?
Yeah, that was what he claimed was his evidence.
What he claims, right? That's my point. That's what he claims. So explain to me why it is that Nick Shirley went and knocked on the doors of daycare when the daycares were closed. Explain that to me.
When do you think daycare is normally open?
Do you know what their facilities are? Do you have children?
Not young children at the time, but I did have.
Okay, great. So then their hours are from. Hold on, stop.
I didn't ask you what their hours were. I asked you what normal hours for child care. I'm asking. Normally
we have to talk about what their hours were, because that's where he went.
Well, they said their hours were 2 to 10.
I'm not done talking. Exactly. That's what their hours are, because it's an aftercare program. Schools get out at 2:15. They open at 2. They go from 2 until 10 o'clock. There are facilities all across the country that have hours like that. So why did he go there at 11 a.m. and then make a viral video that obviously convinced you that there was nobody there and that it's fraud? Explain that to me.
I have their original hours.
Answer my question. Answer my question. Answer my question. Answer my question.
I will.
Answer my question.
I will.
No, right now, answer it. Why did he go there at 11 o'clock Why did he go there at 11 o'clock and then blur out the hours that were posted on the door? See, I did watch the video. Why did he do that and claim that it was closed?
The original hours were for 6 a.m.
Again,
I have a screenshot of it before they scrubbed it off the internet.
Not when he went there. Not when he went there.
You want to see the screenshot of their
answer my question. Answer my question.
I just said I have the original hours before they scrubbed them off the internet and lied to everybody.
Bro, so
would you like to see it?
Are you really this gullible?
Would you like to see it?
I'm asking you. Are you really this gullible?
So you don't think that they changed it?
I think they changed the hours to adjust to the needs of their community. They became a 2 to 10 facility. It's on their site.
After Nick Shirley came there, they became a 2 to 10 facility?
That's not true. That's not true. I'm asking you a question. I want you to either answer the question or you can leave.
The video is already going viral.
Answer the question or you can leave. Simple. Why did he go there at 11 o'clock? Knock on the door, expect to just walk into a daycare facility where the doors are locked. Why did he go there at 11 o'clock when the hours posted were from 2 to 10? Why?
Well,
answer that question.
That should have been a lot better if he went there at 11, right? Because people are accusing him going there when children are there.
I'm asking you,
right? So why would it if children weren't there, right?
Why would it wasn't open?
Sir, people were there. There was people there
open.
shutting the door on him. What do you mean it wasn't open? They could have talked to him.
That's not true.
Their excuse was children were.
Bro, it wasn't open.
He shouldn't have gone in there because of children.
So should a stranger
just be able to walk? Right, but if they weren't there, what's the big deal?
Excuse me. Should someone just be able to walk off the street into a daycare facility?
Oh no, not at all. But how do you think they work?
Okay, then why would they let him in?
He wanted to check in little Joey and see how much it was for childcare. Why people can't go to Somalian childcare?
Right. Are you really this gullible, dude?
Is that racist?
Yeah, it is.
We're going to say only Somalian people can come to this childcare?
That's not true, though. That's not true.
Was there any white kids in there? I didn't see any when they showed them on the news.
Of course you didn't see that. Why would you not see that? Why do you think? Where do you get your news from?
I believe it was ABC that was defending.
Right. Of course it was. Get the fuck out of here. You see how pitiful these people are? I could have predicted that was going to happen. I could have absolutely predicted that was going to happen. This is what happens when you become a simp to the president and do everything you can to try to defend it. Can you see what I mean? You put one and only with a picture of Trump as your background and the host just got dog walked? Are you kidding me? They want to film children? What is wrong with you people? What is wrong with you people? Is it that hard to accept the fact that you've been lied to? You're now taking the word from a 23-year-old YouTuber who's been spreading anti-immigration messages for the last couple of years, who was invited to the round table of the president, and you want to take that as the word? Are you kidding me? You got to be kidding me, right? Unbelievable. You guys are just some of the most gullible people I have ever met in my life. Good morning. Highly unlikely.
Good morning, Facts. How you doing? You know, I noticed the guy that was just up here didn't mention the WCCO Minneapolis St. Paul television report that watched the surveillance tape of the day that Nick showed up. And the guy that was up here before didn't mention that Nick didn't just show up with one guy as a film crew. There were multiple men in a car with no front license plate, which is required by law of the state of Minnesota, who were wearing masks. There were multiple people that the surveillance tape that WCCO Minneapolis St. Paul showed on their live broadcast that Nick didn't show you. Now, as my wife works at a learning center, and I posed her this question, if a car with no front license plate had multiple men, some of them wearing masks, and a video camera, knocked on your front door with no children and said, "Let me in," would you let them in? And she said, "Oh, hell no."
Of course not. Well, I mean, what do people think? Well, it doesn't surprise me that people from the conservative right think it's just okay to take pictures of kids and to walk into daycare facilities. Walter Masterson did a really good breakdown on this. I'll play it for you.
Daycare scandal is fabricated bullshit.
Hassan showed us security footage from the same day Shirley was here. According to the timestamps in the videos, this woman takes a young child into the center at around 9 a.m. that day. about 3 hours before Shirley arrives at the door closer to the street. Within the hour after Shirley leaves, a woman arrives at the other door with a stroller. Tuesday afternoon, WCCO found at least a dozen children at ABC Learning Center. Records show Minnesota officials last visited the daycare in November, noting some corrected and ongoing violations related to day-to-day operations, but no record of fraud.
When the media visited these Somali daycare centers in Minneapolis, they were shown time-stamped security footage of people dropping their children off. Every part of Nick Shirley's video falls apart under scrutiny. But now a scarier thing is happening.
2 p.m. This place is supposed to be open. It closes at around 4:30. We're going to try and buzz one more time.
Other people are doing the same thing.
See if anybody opens up. Okay, so nobody's going to open. Okay, another entrance. Gonna knock again.
Now every wannabe grifter influencer is going up to daycare centers and just banging on the fucking door. Because what the fuck is wrong with you? For the record, Nick Shirley is the same guy who went to CCOT, aka the El Salvadorian death camps, and went inside and made a YouTube video showing how great they were. He's also the same guy who went to Ukraine and made a video pretending that there was no war going on with Russia. Yeah. It's a bullshit story. It's very easily debunked. The Trump administration is going to repeat these baseless claims again and again and again, because they know that their followers are stupid enough to believe it. Exactly. Are you stupid enough to believe it? Prove me wrong in the comments.
Exactly.
Now, someone in the comments saying that the Democrats are boosting $9 billion in fraud. Well, this is something that, again, Fox 9 Minneapolis, St. Paul had reported that they've been doing investigations into, as well as other media sources, that busts have been happening since 2015, that Fox 9 reached out to DHS regarding a 2017 whistleblower email to find out that they ignored it. Who was president of 2017? Oh, yeah, that's right. So it wasn't until 2018 that they pay attention to this email. NPR, which I don't know if it's Minneapolis or Minnesota Public Radio, noted that there were currently 62 open investigations, and that these people are potentially going to screw up 62 open investigations, outside of the fact that this learning center has a record of state audits unannounced coming in, talking about violations that they had, paperwork showing submissions were done to fix some, that there was still some outstanding. This is actually some of the violations where there weren't enough qualified people that they could see licensed and qualified people, because Minnesota, much like Massachusetts, has a ratio for teachers or staff per so many kids, that they had received violations for too many kids, not enough staff. So this is something, this has taken kids, this has had kids. Time-stamped security videos are showing kids there before and after. Days before and after Nick shows up at a time that they weren't open, knocking on the door. And then they're saying that this is fraud. No, this is a conspiracy pushed by the Minnesota GOP, by what's her name, that's running against walls, that basically admitted pushing Shirley to all this stuff.
Correct. Thank you, brother, for jumping in.
Thank you, brother.
Appreciate you. Happy New Year. See you
Happy
later.
New Year to you too.
Here's some more sound. Okay, here's some more sound.
During their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a daycare. It should
be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then,
did you come?
Even he himself. Okay, you bring up a fair point. Yeah, I guess, right. Well, it's closed. Well, I went to Target at 2:30 a.m. and there was nobody there. Well, that's a conspiracy. Mag is like, you see that? There's fraud at Target. He went there at 2:30 a.m. Yeah, but Target's closed at 2:30 a.m. It don't matter. There's fraud. You people are so fucking gullible. Are you kidding me? None of you give a fuck about kids. Are you kidding me? He's even admitted that the things that he does are satire. But guess what it did? It convinced you gullible hacks. So you'll believe a 22-year-old YouTube conspiracy theorist who spreads this bullshit, who, by the way, when he went to Ukraine, went to Western Ukraine where there was no fighting and claimed that there was no fighting in Ukraine. You probably believe that too, right? Of course you did. I'll play this again for you.
During their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11 a.m., I believe, and I also came the following day later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is blacked out doors. They can't give you any.
Dude, you can't get into a business when it's closed. The reason that windows and doors are blocked out at a child care facility is because they don't want people like you and others peeking in on the kids. You don't just get to walk in. I don't know what kind of child care facilities you guys go into, but when I remember this was a long time ago, but you'd have to make an appointment. The doors are locked. There are fucking kids in there. You gullible fucking sheep. It is embarrassing. The person who represented your side this morning just told us all we need to know. All we fucking need to know. Are you kidding me?
Information. You call that number, no one answers.
Jesus.
I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody to be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare
So that's your claim, that it's not a real business. That's your claim, even though everything has debunked it.
just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a
It shouldn't
daycare.
be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then
You bring up a fair point. You guys are so desperate to not talk about the fact that your president is a child predator. You'll come up with whatever fucking lie suits your narrative. Do any of you have any integrity left? Anybody? You just think that a child care facility, by the way, you're lying about the 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. They change their hours to accommodate their community. Schools let out at 2:15. They're open at 2. They go until 10 p.m. because people in that community work. Give me a break. It's so fucking wild that you guys would be that fucking gullible to believe a 22-year-old YouTuber who's known to spread conspiracy theory bullshit. Hi, Josie. How are you? Josie, are you there? Josie, are you there? I guess not. Come on. I mean, you guys are you're so fucking desperate. Like, why? You're so desperate. You're so desperate for a win. And this is the one. Josie's on a vacation, far away. Yeah. Good call, Francis. Thank you. It's not that difficult to just look at information. It's really not. It's really not that hard. Good morning, Wags. How are you? Wags, are you there? I guess not. So this is an interesting comment that you just make. You said, no problem, Josie. You said, what was it? Where's the comment? Yeah, listen to you and not the 77 arrests and indictments. Wake up. Do you understand what your comment just said? The 77 arrests and indictments, which would mean what? Bro. Wow. Okay. I'm sorry. Listen to you and not the 77 arrests and indictments. An indictment, an arrest, and an indictment and convictions would mean that crimes are being investigated. Therefore, people are being held accountable for their fraud. Do you even understand how pathetic that comment is? But you're also one who's going to believe a grifter, right? Right. Explain to me then, Balloon, I'd like you to answer in the comments. Explain to me then, if you care so much about fraud, why is the president pardoning fraudsters? Can you answer that, please? You probably won't, because that wouldn't feature that wouldn't suit your narrative. But nothing to see here. Nothing to see here. God, God, you guys are so fucking gullible. I've never seen anything like it. I'm going to play this again for you because this is just wild. Again, one more time. Let's go through this exercise, and then we'll move on.
Utah, who calls himself an independent journalist and was a guest at Trump's Antifa roundtable for right-wing influencers back in October, posted a video on December 26th called "I Exposed Minnesota's billion-dollar fraud scandal." It has gotten 1.4 million views on YouTube and over 100 million views on Twitter in 3 days. It caught Trump's attention and received praise from the likes of J.D. Vance and FBI Director Kash Patel. It has spurred on federal and state investigations and instigated responses from officials across the federal and Minnesota state governments. This is just bad journalism. In the day of independent journalists, no-name 23-year-olds with no training who can pick up a camera and show up anywhere asking outlandish questions no one can answer and putting dramatic music in the background, they can convince a surprising amount of the public that they're doing hard-hitting investigative journalism. In his viral video exposing Minnesota's fraud scandal, Nick Shirley interviews a man named David, no last name provided, who has been doing his own research to discover Somali fraud in Minnesota, which includes numbers on a piece of paper that he likes to wave around and visiting child daycare centers upwards of 100 times to see if he can get a look at the children. Before they head out to investigate the fraud, David warns Shirley that these people are incredibly violent.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Shirley and David go to a child care center and determine that because they cannot see in and the doors are locked in the middle of the day, then that means there is fraud. There couldn't possibly be children inside this center that 2 grown men and a cameraman can't just wander into freely. Clearly fraud. Shirley then points out as a complete non sequitur that the recently redesigned Minnesota flag looks suspiciously like the Somali flag.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at the Minnesota state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag of Somalia.
Because both are blue and have a star. Stars in the color blue are very unique for flags, as we all know. The clearest answer is that there was a conspiracy to make the Minnesota flag look like the Somali flag. Not that we had a whole-ass contest to pick a new flag, which included a statewide open submission of flag ideas, which received over 2,000 submissions, including drawings from children and also just a photo of Duke, the dog mayor of Cormorant Village. But yeah, no, it's a Somali conspiracy. The problem for Nick Shirley and the type of people who fall for this investigative journalism is that 2 things can be true at the same time, and they really struggle with the cognitive reasoning required for that level of critical thinking. There can be fraud happening. Some of the fraud could be committed by people of Somali origin, and also the Somali community as a whole can be mostly made up of good, law-abiding, tax-paying people. Just like the white person community or the black community, the crimes of individuals do not equate to proclivity for crime in a whole community of people. And when you make sweeping statements to the contrary, these people are dangerous, they're insular and secretive, all fraud is being committed by Somali immigrants. That is, in fact, racism. You are equating an individual or group of individuals to the entire group based on their ethnicity. You are bunching them all together and slapping them with negative labels. That is racism. And it is people like Nick Shirley who are exploiting the racism and increased fear of immigrants to get views and sensationalize real news stories.
So there you go. By the way, the biggest hub of fraud in daycare, because our president needs to be handled like he's a fucking child, is at the Covfefe childcare in D.C. Do any of you care how pathetically ignorant this makes you look? Do any of you care? Do you really have any ability to say, okay, what I'm claiming here is this guy, Nick Shirley, who's got no credibility as a journalist whatsoever, who's been known to spread anti-immigrant sentiment, who went to Ukraine, Western Ukraine, made a series of videos that a bunch more gullible fools followed, where there was no fighting in Western Ukraine, because there is no fighting in Western Ukraine, and he made videos and made money from it by claiming, see, there's no fraud, there's no war here, they're lying to you. That's what you want to, those are the eggs you want in your basket? I've got a little bit more reporting on this. The day after Christmas, far-right YouTuber Nick Shirley posted a video claiming to have exposed fraud at Somali-owned daycare centers in Minnesota. Portions of the 42-minute video, mostly scenes where Shirley is turned away at the daycares, went viral in conservative circles. Shocker, catching the attention of the Trump administration, which was already at work targeting Minnesota's Somali community amid its broader war on immigrants, basically telling that Ilhan Omar that she should be either sent back home or worse. The video, which has been viewed more than 2.2 million times on YouTube and millions more on other platforms, I think the total view count is like 15 million. 15 million views. He's made money. I know how the YouTube algorithm works. He's made money, significant money from that. Then it gets reposted and reposted and reposted and reposted. No, liberals aren't angry, friend. Liberals are disgusted by your bullshit. Liberals, actually, it's not anger. It's not anger. Really what it is, it's disgust for how gullible you all are. Again, the video, which has been viewed by more than 2.2 million times on YouTube and then millions more on other platforms, sparked a renewed crackdown in Minneapolis, with the Department of Homeland Security announcing on Monday it would visit 30 sites suspected of fraud across the city. Why is DHS doing that? If it's fraud, it would be criminal. It's got nothing to do with immigration. Oh, I know. So you can just deport, illegally detain. By the way, these are citizens. They're United States citizens. So why is DHS going there? One wonders. A DHS official told CBS News Minnesota its agents would focus on, quote, a little of everything. When asked whether immigration enforcement would be a part of the crackdown, threatening arrests, the agency posted a video on X in which agents enter a smoke shop and question an employee about a nearby daycare center. Why is DHS doing that? Oh, gosh, I wonder why. Gee, anybody want to have a guess? Maybe it's because of racism? Probably. This isn't the first time the conservative YouTuber has gotten the attention of the Trump administration. Shirley participated in President Trump's roundtable on Antifa. That's probably just a coincidence, right? Sure. In October, after an altercation at an anti-ICE protest, at age 23, his videos aren't merely influencing his audience, they're also influencing government action. This worries immigrants' rights advocates who fear that the fallout from Shirley's video will only worsen the harm already being done to Minnesota's immigrant communities at a time when Trump has taken to calling Somali people garbage at his rallies. But again, nothing to see here, right? Sure. The very real-world consequences is that it's going to exacerbate the situation that we have in Minnesota right now, where we have a lot of people, including U.S. citizens or people with lawful status, being arrested and detained by ICE for no reason, said Anna Pochaz Acosta, who leads the Immigration and Human Rights Clinic at the University of Minnesota Law School. The video, she said, reinforces xenophobic tropes about the Somali community, specifically tying the community to fraud. Pochaz Acosta said she was worried that the increase in DHS visits to daycares could be a pretext of simultaneously conducting immigration detentions. They're doing these visits at a daycare sites under the auspices of conducting a fraud investigation, but if they happen to see anyone who fits a profile, they might get arrested. Shirley's video builds off of the growing interest in a nonprofit fraud scandal in Minnesota involving a pandemic-era program focused on child hunger, which has resulted in dozens of guilty pleas. The Trump administration claims Minnesota's fraud issue is much larger, to the sum of $9 billion worth of government funds being fraudulently funneled from social services. Republicans have painted Governor Tim Walz and Attorney General Keith Ellison, both Democrats, up for re-election as responsible for an alleged lack of oversight. Rep. Ilhan Omar, Democrat from Minnesota, who was Somali American and Muslim, has also been the target of right-wing and xenophobic attacks, among other racist stereotypes and false claims. Trump said, quote, we got to get her the hell out of the country. At a Pennsylvania public radio, state Republican lawmakers had steered Shirley toward the daycare centers he visited in the video. Now, why would they do that? Maybe it's because they know that their voters are stupid fucks, smooth-brained dickheads who just need something to get angry about, because it's bad. It's not enough to be going after brown-skinned people illegally in the streets of America. Now you need more brown-skinned people to go after. Got it. Fraud is fraud. I'm sorry. Shirley defended his video said people have been silent about Somalians committing this fraud because people are scared to be called Islamophobic and racist. Well, that's because you are Islamophobic and racist, Nick, or you've been told to be by people on your side of the aisle. Quote, fraud is fraud. It doesn't matter if it's a black person, white person, Asian person, Mexican, Shirley told Fox News. And we work too hard simply just to be paying taxes and enabling fraud to be happening. Great. Despite Shirley's insistence that race and religion have nothing to do with this investigation, the YouTuber has a long track record of using his man-on-the-street videos to target immigrants in the U.S., platforming individuals who spread xenophobic and Islamophobic beliefs and conspiracy theories. While Shirley's videos include interviews with those protesting against such hate, he often presents immigration and Islam as a growing threat taking over the country, combined with sensationalized headlines, quote, exposing dangerous illegal migrant scammers or the UK's insane migrant invasion. The end result is often a portrait of immigrants as lawbreakers, a societal threat, and a strain on government resources. Shirley did not respond to this newspaper's affiliation for request for comment. It's really that simple. It is really that simple. Again, I'm just watching the comments go by this morning and listening to other people and other lives and people putting backgrounds up about Somali fraud. We've already known, like, same thing happened after in Ohio. Same thing happened there. Haitian community targeted because of lies told about they're eating the dogs. The same fucking thing. The exact, actually, I even have some sound in that. Hang on a second. The exact same thing. It makes me so fucking angry, in case you couldn't tell, that the only thing that they've got to focus on now is just more fucking racism. It's by design, of course. See if I can find this, because you'll laugh. And I've got a story, by the way, about the QAnon shaman. I shit you not. He's back in the news. Hang on one second. Maybe I don't have that. I must. It's great. It's great sound. Hang on. Then we're going to talk about the lies the president just told. Again, he took Vladimir Putin's word for it. And also, by the way, I forgot about this. Nick Shirley actually, outside the White House, he paid day laborers to hold up signs that said, Joe Biden invited me here. I'm here so I can vote for Joe Biden. He literally paid people to do that. This guy. Yep, that guy. I got to find this because it's just too good. Hang on, I will. Give me a sec. It's worth it. It'll be worth the wait. I was going to say it's an Encino Man moment, but you wouldn't know the inside joke if I told you. And then we're going to talk about the things that the president has said overnight, because he's rage tweeting again. I got to find this. Shirley was, of course, confronted about the Epstein files, and he wouldn't answer. He walked away from that. Do I not have this? I'm sorry. It's just Trump voters being Trump voters, trying to deny everything. I guess I don't have it. That's all right. Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the same story, though. It is the same story. Communities that are already under threat, communities that are being diminished and assaulted. You love Encino Man. I'll tell you the story sometime, Sam. It's hilarious. It's not, in this case, it's not hilarious. It's harmful. So these communities are now under assault. We're talking about childcare facilities. But if you all want to be that gullible and continue to believe this nonsense, then I don't know how I can help you. I really don't know how I can help you. I really don't. And again, of course it's white supremacy. It's all of that. It's white supremacy, it's racism, it's xenophobia, it's all of it. It's all of it. Fly skimmers, how are you today?
Hey, buddy, I just wanted to see if you would Google, is there fraud at Minnesota daycares? And just see what Google says about it.
Okay, once again, sir, no one is denying that fraud existed in Minnesota. There's
No.
charges. Wait,
So I'm saying
hold on
specifically daycare.
Stop.
I stopped.
Listen, no one is denying that fraud exists. The argument that I am making to you is that you are basing all these claims on a YouTuber.
No, I'm not.
No,
I'm not. I don't give a shit about the YouTuber, bro. Nobody cares about you. I'm talking about the federal investigation. Who gives a shit about a damn YouTube guy?
Why did the federal investigation? Why did the federal investigation start?
Did they find fraud?
I'm asking you, why did it start?
I don't care. Did they find fraud? Because if they found fraud, I'm glad it started. I'm glad it started.
Sir, listen. I'm hoping you can try to learn something for just a second here, okay?
Oh, okay.
There are Republicans in the state of Minnesota, through the reporting.
There might be one or two.
Listen, there are Republicans within the state of Minnesota who directed Nick Shirley to go and make these videos. Nick Shirley makes. I'm not done talking. Listen, Nick Shirley makes these videos. The president, by the way, also attacking the Somali community, including Ilhan Omar in Minnesota. So Nick Shirley, directed by Republicans in the state of Minnesota to go and create these videos. It gets tweeted out and retweeted by Elon Musk. It gets retweeted by J.D. Vance. And then all of a sudden, the DHS is going to go in there and make an investigation. Do you think that sounds legitimate?
Yes. And you know why?
Of course you do. Get the fuck out of here. Oh, my God. Jesus, it's unbelievable to me. It's just the lengths that people will go to try to come up with something so they don't have to talk about the fact that their president is a predator. Man, oh man. Wow. So gullible. Los, how are you today?
Hey, good, thank you. I have a question for you because you use a lot of white supremacy and when you talk about Christianity. I'm a Latino and we tend to be way more conservative than white culture in terms of our Christianity. Would you call us a white supremacist? Because we're very traditional. In every sense of the word. We're very traditional in every sense of the word.
Okay, but you said you're what? What is your faith?
Catholic Christian.
You're a Catholic Christian?
Catholic Christian. My parents, they're Catholic. When they were in El Salvador, then we converted to Christianity here.
I believe our system is built on white supremacy.
But you talk about that when you're talking about Christians or religious beliefs.
Christian nationalists. I think Christian nationalists are
would you
white
consider
supremacists.
us Christian nationalists? Because we're if you think American church is conservative, quote unquote, we're like 3 times more conservative. Like way more conservative.
Okay. Well, again, I'm not labeling you that. I believe that our system is built on white supremacy, and I believe that Christian nationalists are white supremacists. Would you consider yourself a Christian nationalist?
No, but we are 3-4 times more conservative than the church here in America, like the Christian so-called church.
According to you, so what would make you 3 to 4 times more conservative?
We're very, very, very family oriented. We don't believe in abortion, LGBTQ.
So you don't believe in that. It doesn't matter whether you believe in it or not. Are you saying that gay people and trans people don't exist?
Our religious beliefs, that's what they teach us.
I don't care. I'm asking you. Are you saying that they don't exist?
Of course they exist.
Okay, so then I would say that you're a Christian
nationalist. We believe it's a sin. But
get the fuck out of here. I believe that you're a Christian nationalist. So there you go. Thank you for helping me prove that point. Thank you for literally walking right into it. I appreciate you. Jesus. Oh my God. We're so fucked. Our system is built on white supremacy. I've said this a million times. A system built by people who look like me to benefit people who look like me, to protect people who look like me. Our system is a system of white supremacy. What we are seeing now is that the current administration, along with conservative Christians and evangelicals, are doubling down on that. Are literally doubling down on their Christian nationalism. And from my perspective, my opinion alone, if you are a Christian nationalist, you are a white supremacist. Period. And I know there's a fine line between people who generally are, if you're a Christian and you promote Christian values and this is not my judgment of your religion. Where my judgment comes from is when you try to equate your religion with patriotism. As soon as you start to blur those fucking lines, you become a Christian nationalist. So if you are more conservative than today's Christians, then guess what? You're a Christian nationalist too, and you're likely a fucking white nationalist and a white supremacist. So you may not like that. I don't give a shit. I don't care if you don't like it. Good morning, Amy Lee. How are you?
Hey, Steve. I'm doing well. I think a lot of people are not, maybe they're not aware, but I substituted for a daycare center, and when I worked full time, my daughter went to an after school program. The workers are not allowed to give any information to anybody if they're not on a list of approved.
Of course not.
They're not allowed to talk about children. They're not allowed to talk about anything to do with any of the children. And this was, when I was doing it, this was 30 years ago almost. So no, this dude is not going to go and get information about these daycare centers.
Of course not. Of course not.
So
yeah, it's a really good point. Somebody just said this. Trump didn't shut down daycares when Mississippi was investigated for fraud. Exactly. Thank you for bringing that up, Robin. It was an entire investigation almost around the same thing about levels of fraud at child care and daycare facilities in Mississippi. Why wasn't he investigating that? Oh, I know. Because Mississippi voters vote for him. Shocker. Shocker.
It's just, it's willful ignorance, as we've said before, you know.
Oh, yeah. No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
And while I have you here for just a moment, I thank you and the team, your whole team. Y'all really, I don't want to cry. Christmas was amazing for my family. It's Free Speech Friday, I guess I could say it. Christmas was amazing for my family, and we're overwhelmed with gratitude. Overwhelmed.
Well, it's our honor. Thank you for allowing us to show up for you guys. We appreciate you.
My daughter is she's not on Discord. She follows and listens to you guys, but she's gonna leave a message with Sam. She's asked me if she could do that through my account. So thank y'all.
We got you. We got you. We love you, Emily, and have a happy new year, okay?
Thank you. You guys too. We love you all.
See you later. That or I would have forgot. Yes. Free Speech Friday. She's right though, right? I mean, it's just you don't I don't want to spend a lot of time talking about this, but I think it's necessary from some of the callers that we had earlier today that we've got this sort of schism in our media. We know that, right? The issue that I have that I struggle with is that the desperation that people who want to find something to claim or to attack, they need more information to attack brown-skinned people, right? And you're allowing yourself to believe just fucking nonsense. Somebody making, oh, you mean 77? That would mean that crimes are being investigated, right? That's what that would mean. It would mean that crimes are being investigated and people are held accountable. If you listen, I will say this, and this will make it easier for you, MAGA. Watch this. I believe that if there's allegations of you for whatever business or industry or individual you are, if there are allegations of fraud is bad. Those investigations should continue. If necessary, charges brought, you get due process, you go through court, you get found innocent or not guilty or guilty, and if you're guilty, then you go to fucking jail. It's that simple. None of us on the left, unlike you mouth breathers on the right, none of us are here advocating for fraud. On the contrary, we're saying anybody involved in fraud should be held accountable. Just like we say anybody connected crimes that are involved in the Epstein list cover-up, the Trump list we'll call it, should be investigated and then sent to fucking jail. Period. Why can't you say the same? Why can't your comments be proving that you truly do care about fraud? Why can't your comments be Trump should not have pardoned all these fraudsters? But you can't do that, can you? Because that wouldn't be supportive of daddy. It's unfortunate. It's unfortunate that you're that fucking gullible. But again, nothing to see here. AEP, how are you today?
I'm fine. How are you doing? Happy New Year. I just want to say, I listened to you last year, and I'm making a point to listen to you this year because you're telling the truth. You're telling the truth to people that need to listen. This is the media today to get out to the voters. So if you're telling the truth, more power behind you, my brother. I just hope you keep it up and stuff. But, I got family members that have that ideology of Fox News every day. And matter of fact, I walked in on it, and I'm shaking my head, and I'm like, I can't believe that they're listening to, but they're my family, and I can't disregard them. Somebody else strange, that's something different, but family is kind of difficult, and I've been dealing with this for the last 10 years now, and it's tough. It is really tough since the Bush administration, so, oh, God, thank you. I just want to say that sincerely to you because I think you're doing what is supposed to be happening, telling the truth, because you can't trust the major medias anymore. I mean, I try to when I listen to Racial Matter, but, even that has genders in it behind it, and I have to step back now. And I turn off the TV and not even watch it, and because they're spewing out too much garbage, and the media is such a pain in the butt. I'm 66 years old, and I knew I was living in New York when Trump and his dad was doing the fraudulent thing, and how the Nixon administration came after him, his father and stuff. So I know, and the Central Park, I was there and stuff. So, and I can't understand why would anybody, especially when he came down from that escalator, to spew that nonsense about brown people. It's sickening, and nobody caught on. I don't get that. But anyway, I'll make this short. Goodbye. Thank you. Thank you for the moment and stuff. Okay, sir? Have a great day. Always be listening. Okay?
You too. Happy New Year.
Thank you, sir. Happy New Year. Bye.
He said agendas. I just said it was the accent. It wasn't. He didn't say genders. It was agendas. Just the accent. He's right though, right? I mean, this is we talk about this often about the poisoning of the minds of conspiracy theorists, those people that are already susceptible, those people that are already, confirmation bias seekers, cognitive dissonance, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. We've seen that this morning. Can you just imagine being that desperate? I mean, it's wild to me. It's wild to me to be that desperate. Huey, what's on your mind?
Oh yeah, I just wanted to speak to that last or the second to last speaker when he was talking about just conservative Latinos, man. It's a interesting dynamic. In Black culture, we have a thing that's called basically raccoons, right, where they are a color and then service another, service white supremacy, and that conversation was kind of what I've seen to witness, especially living here in Florida, where there's a lot of people who are Latino who heard the rhetoric that was coming from Trump, but yet still voting for him just based off of some pretty flimsy moral high ground. It's very crazy to think that as much fraud is going on in this administration, how they can still equate godliness or Christianity principles to the Republican Party, and I think that's where a lot of Democrats kind of like fail in regards to, holding, they're like voting in a particular way that like benefits and showing like the people like, hey, listen, we are for the people, in anything that they're doing in regards to like messaging. It's just I feel like they just fall short in regards to that. But like now you can see like what's going on in our administration. It's just so much fraud, so many things that are being pardoned, and it's just like I don't understand why you're just hung off of this one thing or anything really to justify their vote. It's kind of crazy.
I would agree. Yeah, we talk about that often about how MAGA has been. They are indoctrinated. Their entire identity is based on their identity politics. They're committed to being part of something, and that part of something means that they have to take everything that they're spoon-fed, all the conspiracy theories, all the lies, all the horrible things that are stated, because their identity is connected to that. As soon as they say one of those things don't apply anymore, then the entire identity goes. But thanks for jumping in today, Huey. I appreciate you being here. Have a good New Year. Be safe out there. You got it. Take care. Let me just make a real quick adjustment here, guys. Mods, I'm having some Discord issues, so just FYI, if I don't get a message, it's because I'm having some Discord issues. Hang on one second. I just got to fix this real quick. Yep. Hang on. Right there. Okay. Hold on. Move that over there. Okay. All right. Anyway, I digress. It's just one of these things that just continually just drives me absolutely crazy, right? That we have this administration that is just one piece of fraud after another, and they need a distraction. Anyway, information. How are you today?
Good morning. I'm doing well. And I was just about to say that this is a red herring.
Of course it is.
Yeah. Totally. From what's really going on. They're trying to distract us.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
So they're grabbing our straws right now.
They sure are. They sure are. Thanks for jumping in today. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. Be safe out there.
You too.
Thank you. Again, we'll leave it right there. It's emblematic of the entire thing, though, right? It's emblematic of not believing the courts, not believing science, not believing doctors, not believing women, obviously, not believing the institutions, not believing, whatever it might be, not believing witness testimony, not believing court records, not believing testimony, not believing sworn statements. Instead, you'll believe a pathological liar and you'll believe a 23-year-old YouTuber. Okay, that's fine. All right, let me. What I want to do now is I want to talk about how the commitment that we have to cover the Epstein files going forward. We have made the decision on our team that we're going to do our absolute best to not read into anything that is too graphic and or that would re-traumatize victims of assault. It's not easy to do, and I may screw up. I will apologize in advance. Instead, what we're going to try to focus on is providing context to the cover-up and reporting on things that maybe are being underreported with connections to all these individuals, statements made, etc., without, again, re-traumatizing. I'm going to do my best. That's my commitment that I made to you guys. It's a commitment I made to my mod team. It's the commitment that we're going to try to hold ourselves to. I would ask that you, give us a little bit of grace if we do kind of miss up here and there. It's not going to be if it happens, I'm the one to blame and no one else. So if something is triggering and you're unhappy about that, I'm the one to blame. You can point your anger at me. That'd be fine, and I can accept that. The reason I want to tread lightly here is because mainstream media is doing a horrible job calling out what we see. What we know, these are crimes. This is rape of children and young girls. All right, that's what this is, and they're doing a horrible job. A horrible job. So I'm going to read to you a little bit from Virginia Dufresne's book. It's not going to get into the crimes against her. It touches on them, but it goes to show you how deep this goes and to the lengths to which they are willing to go, they being the people that are committing these crimes. the lengths that they are willing to go to protect themselves from the obvious. So let me find this. Hang on one second. Okay. This is what I'm going to read to you. This is a page from her book. We know Virginia Giuffre's story, right? I'll provide some more context to that in just a moment. But this is a page from her, and I want to thank Michelle for sending me this. Okay. If he got rid of them so quickly, what would Jeffrey eventually throw? Would he throw me away too? She's talking about how she's now been indoctrinated. She's now part of this club, so to speak. It felt foolish to rely on him for my livelihood. Jeffries must have sensed my qualms, though, because he walked around his desk, picked up a grainy photograph, and handed it to me. The image had been taken from some distance, but it was unmistakably my little brother, Sky. Sky was walking away from the camera. I could see his backpack and the outline of the side of his face. I felt a stab of fear. Why did Jeffrey have a photo of the person I loved most in the world? Quote, "We know where your brother goes to school," said Jeffrey. He let that sink in for a moment, then got to the point. Quote, "You must never tell a soul what goes on in this house." He was smiling, but his threat was clear. Should I ever be tempted to betray him and go to the authorities, he would hurt Sky. I stared at him. He stared back, and I own the Palm Beach, and, quote, he says, "I own the Palm Beach Police Department, so they won't do anything about it." That threat was still rattling around in my head days later when Jeffrey casually mentioned that he knew Eppinger. Eppinger was the person who had this front for this modeling agency who recruited Virginia and others when she was 13. It was literally just a front for this trafficking operation, okay? The threat was still rattling around in my head days later when Epstein casually mentioned that he knew Eppinger. Not well, he said, but they'd met once or twice at a party. The news only confirmed my emerging understanding of how the world worked. My approximately 17 years on the planet had taught me that some grown men forced children to have schmecks with them and suffered no repercussions. So the idea of Jeffrey and Eppinger socializing made perfect sense. It was simply the way of things. I had no choice. I believed but to accept that and make the best of it, because if I didn't, Sky's life could be at stake, if not my own. So, again, what we see in this whole thing, and to summarize, first of all, that's chilling to hear, right? That a 13-year-old girl, 14-year-old girl, her brother had, or the person committing the crimes against her, had photographs of her little brother and said that if you say anything, we know where he goes to school. What would that imply? So we know that there's a pattern. We know from other witness testimony and court records, we know the same thing happened to other survivors, that they were all told that if you say anything, this is what could happen to you, which is why many of them decided not to pursue legal actions, because they feared for their lives. And yet there are people in our government today, and there are people walking around in this world that are doing everything they can to protect the perpetrators of these crimes and not the survivors thereof. Many of the survivors are again, I don't know where this sits in the process, but many of them are like, well, you have our witness statements, DOJ. You have it all. Why, with the information that you've released, is that not information public? Where is my testimony? Where are my statements? Where are the things that I've said? These are in your possession. Case in point, lots of powerful people protecting other powerful people. But nothing to see here, right? Nothing to see here. That's where we are, friends. That's where we are. Once again, in regards to Mr. Eppinger. At the age of 13, Virginia was living on the streets of Miami Beach when she was approached by Ron Eppinger, a self-described modeling agent affiliated with the Perfect 10, which was, in reality, a front for a trafficking operation. Enticed by promises of food, shelter, and modeling work, she entered Eppinger's world, a decision that began a harrowing chapter of sexual exploitation, among other things. Yep, and yet, here we are, people defending it. People protecting the people who perpetrated these crimes. That expose last week that we read from MTG, the New York Times reporting, right, said that, that Donald Trump said to her, many of my friends are going to get hurt. Really? So the president of the United States, who is implicated in this, who is a predator, no doubt about it, I will say it publicly, who is a predator, he's more concerned about his friends getting hurt than the people who were actually hurt, the survivors in this case? Okay. All right. Good to know. Okay. Let's shift gears a little bit, and we need to talk about, actually, let me, I want to bring up Michelle, since Michelle shared that page with me, and we won't get into anything more. I don't want to get any more graphic than just that. But I think that's going to be how we're going to cover these things, making sure that we're hearing from survivors without re-traumatizing. At least that's my hope. Hi. Thank you again for sending me that. How are you? Michelle?
Hi. I just wanted to jump up real quick. I'm good. How are you? Hi. I just wanted to jump in and add, after you mentioned her meeting Eppinger, I think people need to understand too that her start with Eppinger was not actually where it all began. It began in her home by her father and her father's friends. So just know that her meeting Eppinger was not the start of her sexual exploitation issues. It started from the abuse at home when she was a toddler, a baby.
Yeah, trigger warnings.
But that's all I'm going to say.
I appreciate that.
Yes.
Yeah, well, there you go. Thank you again for sharing that with me. I appreciate you.
Yeah. You're very welcome. If you need to know more, I am currently, I think, on chapter 12, 13 of it now, and it's been a struggle for me to get through. I had to take the day off yesterday from reading it because I was just in all sorts of disarray with it. It's very hard to get through what I'm getting through, and it's making me very angry knowing, the amounts of people that have worked for Epstein and at each home and each residence of each location that he had, the hundreds, if not thousands of people who knew this was going on and have said nothing. I can't wrap my head around it. I'm so angry.
Me neither. Yeah, it's Virginia DeFray's book. What's the title of it again, please?
Nobody's Girl.
Right. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you again, Michelle, for sharing that with me. I appreciate you, and Happy New Year. Be safe. Okay.
Happy New Year. You too.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Yeah. So again, this entire thing just boils down to this simple truth for me, right? There are people in our government. There are people spread across all industries, from sea to shining sea, global, that are more concerned about protecting the friends, the people who committed these crimes against children, than they are protecting the voices of the survivors. That's where we sit. And for any of you who are still Trump supporters after all of this, we see you. We know exactly who you are. You will have to answer to this. You have aligned. There are hundreds of people that we've heard from. There's as many as 1,200 survivors. Are all of them lying? Are all of them who've come out and named Donald Trump specifically? I think about Maria Farmer. I think about Stacey Williams. Are they all lying? They're all lying? Okay. We know about the fractures in his story, about how he said one time he said he just stopped spending time with Jeffrey because of a real estate transaction. Then we found out that it was because he was stealing employees. Then we find out it was he thought that he was a creep. We know that the timeline that he's told, that story's been completely debunked because of the flight records when he claimed he was never on his plane. All of that. And yet you still support him. That's fine. We see you. Okay. Overnight last night, the president was a bit angry. Let me shift gears and put this background back up because I like it. He was very angry. By the way, thank you. Let's see. This is Marina. Marina, thank you so much for your. Marina has started the dollar chain. Also, Vicky, thank you very, very much. I appreciate you. You guys are great. Appreciate you for being here. Let's do that. If you want to support the channel, best way to do that is through the various pay apps, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, all at Factsstillmatter. I appreciate you all. Don't forget there's a gifting goal today. Don't forget tapping and clapping, friends. And if you've not joined the team yet, please consider doing that. In the link tree that's in my bio, you'll find a link to the merch store. Go check it out. There's a lot of cool stuff over there. I would appreciate that. And so would you. In fact, the I Dissent shirt is also available. Okay. So last night, in the middle of the night, the president decided to threaten Iran. In case you haven't heard, there's a few things that I'm going to play for you. Yeah, he's still doubling down on the Eagles. By the way, they changed the picture of the Eagles. Remember I shared with you guys last week that the picture that he showed, I think I've got it. This picture. This picture here, he's saying that the windmills are killing all our beautiful bald eagles. That's a falcon. These windmills are in Israel, and this picture was taken in 2017, right? And now he's changed it, and they've edited the picture to make it look like an eagle. That's how desperate they are. Well, that's not how desperate they are. That's how stupid they think their voters are. All right, let me find this one story that I want to read for you guys. Okay. The peacetime president, remember, the president who thinks he deserves the Nobel Peace Prize.
If Iran shots.
He literally spelled shot. He meant to spell shoots, and he wrote shots.
If Iran shots and violently unalives peaceful protesters, which is their custom, the United States of America will come to their rescue. We are locked and loaded and ready to go. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump.
Nice. Nice, right? Nice. The peacetime president, the one who gets participation trophies, the one who gets the FIFA Peace Prize, the one who gets the prize from Bibi, the Israeli Peace Prize. That makes perfect sense. Meanwhile, we are in the process of developing Gaza into a Mediterranean hub where billions of dollars of capital money at the leadership of Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. Nothing to see here, though, right? Nothing to see here. All right. Also, last night, two things.
The White House doctors have just reported that I am in perfect health and that I aced, meaning was correct on 100% of the questions asked for the third straight time, my cognitive examination, something which no other president or previous vice president was willing to take. P.S. I strongly believe that anyone running for president or vice president should be mandatorily forced to take a strong, meaningful, and proven cognitive examination. Our great people of our country cannot be run by stupid or incompetent people. President DJT. Cool.
Okay, so we've done this before. First of all, you don't just take cognitive tests. There has to be a reason. This is the MOCA, the Montreal Cognitive Assessment. This is the test that he took, or that he's been taking. So I just want to make sure that you guys understand. I'm gonna get into this for you. Okay. These are the questions on this test. The first section is you have to align the letter with the appropriate number. So A would be 1, B would be 2. The second section, draw a clock. Draw a clock that denotes 10 past 12 or 12:10. The third section is name the animal. Okay. The fourth section, let me just make this a little bit bigger. Hang on one second. I'm trying to read as I go along here. This section, the memory section, read list of words. Subject must repeat them. Do 2 trials, even if first trial is successful. Do a recall after 5 minutes. That would be the person, woman, man, camera, TV section. The next portion is read a list of digits and then repeat them in the forward order and then repeat them in the backward order. So, 21854 Then you have to repeat. You have to recite them in the ascending order and then in descending order. Read a list of letters. The subject must tap with his hand each letter. Each letter A. So if you're reading through the list, every time you come to the letter A, you have to tap your hand. Also, subtraction starting at 100 by 7. You start with 100, and then you go backwards and you subtract by 7. So like 93, 86, etc. Repeat. The next section is language. Repeat. Let's see. I only know. Here's the language. I only know that John is the one to help today. The cat always hid under the couch when dogs were in the room. You have to recite that. Abstraction. Similarities between groups. Banana, fruit, train, bicycle, watch, ruler. What do they have in common? This is the test that he's taken 3 times this year. You don't give this test unless your doctors are tracking your cognitive decline. That's why you do it. You don't ace these tests. They are a measurement. They are a measurement. This is the test that he just took again, and he tried to announce that in the middle of the night so people will perhaps not pay attention, or that his supporters will be like, President aced that test, you libs. Biden couldn't pass that test. Well, Biden's doctors never asked him to take that test because they weren't concerned about his cognitive decline. So why did the president have to take it 3 separate times? Oh, but that's nothing. That's nothing. Also last night, again, part of his exam, he's had multiple examinations this year. I wonder why that is. This is part of the interview that he did for the Wall Street Journal. President Trump said in a new interview regarding his health that he has rejected his doctor's advice to take less aspirin for cardiac prevention because he's been taking it more than 2 decades and is a little superstitious. Quote, they say aspirin is good for thinning out the blood, and I don't want thick blood. Wait a minute, I gotta do this.
They say aspirin is good for thinning out the blood, and I don't want thick blood pouring through my veins and my heart. I want nice, thin blood pouring through my heart. Does that make sense?
Again, you are prescribed aspirin. I take aspirin, been doing it for a while, but I take the recommended dose. I'm not going to give medical advice, right? Our president had another exam, the 3rd one this year, the 3rd one, cognitive examinations, 3 of those, and now he's basically just ignoring doctors' advice. Okay. That's fine. Also, overnight on Truth Social. Now, I've been thinking a lot about this. You know, how we have the tariff situation pending before the Supreme Court. Quite frankly, I think the Supreme Court is potentially going to let him off the hook. And what do I mean by that? Well, we know how damaging the tariffs are to the economy. We know that. They can talk about their inflation numbers. We know it's bullshit. If by chance the Supreme Court says that he's overreached on IEPA, right? That would give him a potential win where prices that are impacted by tariffs and those cost increases, although capitalists and these corporations are likely not going to lower their prices, but that would potentially be almost a lifeline. I don't know exactly what's going to happen there. It seems likely that the Supreme Court is going to rule that the tariffs are unconstitutional or the president violated, but this was the statement he made last night.
Tariffs are an overwhelming benefit to our nation, as they have been incredible for our national security and prosperity like nobody's ever seen before. Losing our ability to tariff other countries who treat us unfairly would be a terrible blow to the United States of America. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. Nice.
That's who he is, ladies and gentlemen. That's who he is. Hi, Jen.
Hey, I'm in my Uber, but I just wanted to say that aspirin is not a blood thinner. It's actually a platelet aggregator, and it keeps platelets from clumping together that cause clots in the arteries of the heart and in the brain. And so, like, you need platelets in order to cause like a scab or stop bleeding. So when you do that, any kind of bump on your head or anything like that, it can cause bleeding that can't stop, right? So I'm not going to say anything because I'm not a doctor, but I just want everybody to know that.
Would that explain some of the bruising on his hands?
I think we spoke about that early, like before. I think that it would explain the bruising on his hands if he was getting poked.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
I
also and they had to move it to his left hand because I don't know if the veins were collapsing on his right, but the argument was that that was because of handshaking. Well, we know that's not true.
That's not true. Yeah, that's just not true. I mean, people shake hands all the time that are on aspirin, even double aspirin, and it's just not reality. Not reality at all. I did want to say one thing, if it's okay about because it's Free Speech Friday. There's so much to be angry about in Minnesota. Like, it's not even, like, I don't even know where to start, but you know my situation here where I live. And what really, really pisses me off on top of it is how much crime right-wing extremists are getting away with because resources are being taken away to go after racist ideology and their mission, right? So, like, I have a situation where right-wing extremists are committing state and federal crimes against people that are using their First Amendment right to speak up and say what they believe. And those resources with the FBI and all of these things are being taken away to focus on fucking immigration. And it's really upsetting because I'm absolutely alone. My son is in the military, and I won't even go into that with his whole Iran thing. But, I'm alone and I have nobody protect me because they're too busy chasing after fake fraud in daycare centers.
Correct.
And it really pisses me off. These right-wing extremists get away with everything because of who's in the office. And the DOJ, all of these people, the FBI, they don't go after shit if it's a right-wing extremist. They do not want to know about it.
Nope, they don't. That's obvious. Thanks for being here, and Happy New Year to you. I appreciate you.
All right, you too. Bye-bye.
See you later. All right, bye. She's right. I mean, obviously, pulling resources. We now know there's reporting that there's additional numerous, like hundreds of other FBI agents to go through even more documents connected to the Epstein files. So they haven't like something like 4 or 5 million more pieces of paper or documents, right? Do any of you care? Do any of you care? Any of you? Do any of you care about any of this that's happening, or do you just want to double down on your hatred towards others? Okay, I think I know the answer to that. All right. So again, the president is, taking cognitive tests for the third time, doubling up on his aspirin dosage. Now he's got bruises on both hands. He is in failing health. That is obvious. But of course, you guys just want to double down and call it a witch hunt or whatever the fuck. I don't even care anymore. All right. Let me move on to a few other things. We're going to talk about Jack Smith, right? Before did I play the sound from Jessica Tarloff? Let me just land the plane here. I'm not sure if I played this yet, but let me just play this because before I played that. Never mind. I played it already. Okay. Let's go back to yesterday. Mayor Zohran Mamdani was sworn in. And in New York, it happens at 12:01 a.m. on January 1st. The swearing-in ceremony was administered by Letitia James. So can you imagine the president having to deal with Letitia James, who is the AG in New York, swearing in Zohran, although we know the president has a bromance with Zohran. Here's the swearing-in ceremony.
Hey, everyone, and Happy New Year to all of you. And I can't think of a better way to usher in 2026 than to be amongst family and friends and to inaugurate the man who will bring about a new era of progress, promise, and prosperity for New York City. Zohran, I am so proud of what you have accomplished, and I'm filled with joy about what we will accomplish for our beloved city over the coming years. And so with that, let us begin. Please repeat after me and raise your right hand. I, Zohran Kwame Mamdani,
Zohran Kwame Mamdani,
do solemnly swear
that
I will support the Constitution of the United States,
that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
the Constitution of the State of New York,
and the Charter of the City of New York,
and the Charter of the City of New York,
and that I will faithfully discharge
and that I will faithfully discharge
the duties of
the office of
the Mayor of the City of New York,
according
to the best of my ability.
So
help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. Mayor.
So, MAGA, you've got a Democratic Socialist Muslim in New York, sworn in by Letitia James, who your Department of Justice is so fucking pathetically incompetent, couldn't indict her after 3 tries, when oftentimes they say you can indict a ham sandwich unless you're the Trump Department of Justice. I think I was reading this. It's like 93 or 94% of the time when there's a federal indictment that's sought, you get it through a grand jury. 3 times they tried. 3 times. And they failed miserably all 3 times. Suddenly, though, MAGA, you all have been concerned about New York City. I don't think New York really cares. I think New York's got it. I don't think you need to worry about New York anymore. I think you can just watch. Yeah, exactly. And a really high conviction rate, too, for a federal indictment. That's exactly right. Thanks, Johnny. I don't think you care about New York City. I just think because you're so triggered by brown people. And you're so afraid of socialism, democratic socialism. You're afraid of public transportation. You're afraid of health care. We can add it to the list. We're going to need a roll of toilet paper to put all the things down that MAGA's afraid of. You're afraid of doors. You're afraid of office hours. You're afraid of, intelligent, handsome, young democratic socialists who are going to put daycares, you're right, we're going to put policies in place that are actually going to help people. You're afraid of all that. So, you know what? Do us a solid. Don't bother going to New York. They're fine. With the exception of the Yankees, New York's a great city. And the Mets. With those exceptions, New York's a fabulous city. None of you all care. So don't bother going. So is that a threat? You won't? So cool. Sticks. You won't go to New York because you're afraid? I understand. There, sweetie. It's okay. You don't have to go to New York. It's okay. New York doesn't need you. It's fine. I know that you obviously don't want any culture in your life. You don't want to see a variety. You don't want to see the melting pot that is America, that is New York City, the great American melting pot. You don't want to see that at all. So I'm not surprised that you wouldn't want to go, because you certainly wouldn't want a little culture in your life. You wouldn't want a little diversity. You wouldn't want to see what America actually looks like. That's fine, though. That's fine. You can just sit in your little corner and continue to be afraid with all your other pussy-ass bitch weaklings. Anywho, okay. We're going to talk about Jack Smith now. I think it's time. So Jack Smith's testimony was extremely intriguing, to say the least. Also, let me just check in over here real quick. Don't forget, friends, we are crowdfunded here. You want to support the channel, best way to do that is through the various pay apps, Cash App, PayPal, Venmo, which is all at Facts Still Matter. I appreciate you. Thank you, Sam. That's very nice. All right. I'm going to set this to there, and we'll move on. So I find it interesting, actually, that the Republicans agreed to release this testimony. I know Danny did a great job of playing a lot of it. I'm not going to play the entire all the bites because it would take one time, but there's a lot of sound bites that I want to play for you. This one kind of stood out to me because it has to do with the complaining from the right about the tolling records, the phone records that they were received. Now, there's a big debate about what we're seeing on the right is people complaining that their conversations were captured. No. What tolling records are is just an indication of when a particular phone reached to another phone. It connects the dots, right? It connects the dots. So he's asked this question by the conservatives on the panel, and here's his answer.
Again, to subpoena the Speaker of the House's toll records, right?
We followed department policy, and we followed all legal requirements in getting those records.
I mean, to get the information you're looking for, nobody disputed the Speaker and the President were having communications on January 6th. So one way you could have gotten that information is you could have asked the Speaker's lawyer to look at his phone records and to give you the information you needed, right?
Well, you say now that nobody's disputing, but my experience in criminal investigations is that people often at trial dispute things that you never thought were going to be in dispute during the investigation. And so when I conduct a criminal investigation, I don't assume there will be no disputes. Having a record that is a hard record about a time, and the timeline of that afternoon was particularly important because that violence started. The president refused to stop it. He endangered the life of his vice president. And he's getting calls, and not calls from Democrats, not calls from people he doesn't know, calls from people he trusts, calls from people he relies on, and still refuses to come to the aid of the people at the Capitol. That's very important evidence for criminal intent in our case.
But it's pretty significant.
So there's nothing criminal about what he did. It's an investigation. Jim Jordan was somebody who was caught up in that. Don't forget, Lindsey Graham was somebody who was caught up in that. Lindsey Graham went so far as to introduce a piece of legislation added to the continuing resolution, open the government back up, so that he could sue the DOJ for $500,000 an incident. That's how angry Lindsey Graham was. Jim Jordan, by the way, in case you guys were wondering, not exactly the most transparent individual. He got angry. Hold on. Wait 1 second.
For 2.5 years. They know who I talked to, who called me, when I talked to them, and how long the call lasted. And if I initiated the call, they knew where I was at when I did so. And they could track that and pattern your life That is scary. That is creepy. And Jack Smith had that information for me for 2.5 years, for Speaker McCarthy for 2 months. That's crazy. They got mine for 2.5 years.
Sorry, Jim. GYM. That's unfortunate. So again, the investigation, the argument that the right's been making is that, and this shows you how stupid they are, that these people, I think there's 8 in question, these people's phones were hacked and they were spied on. No, because the investigation happened after the fact. So when you acquire the tolling records, all you are getting is who spoke to who and when. They weren't listening. There's no transcript of their calls. It's just these people were in contact with these people on these particular dates and times. And Jim is angry because he got connected to it. And Jim is angry because when he's no longer in power, he's going to get investigated. Jim. But nothing to see here, right? So let's get into a little bit more Jack Smith because I think it's just fucking fabulous. Let's see if I can find it. Hang on one sec. Here's more to that. Here's more to that section about the phone records.
I want to start by starting on the issue about the collection of call records related to certain members of Congress.
Can we get to 300K, guys? And don't forget, there's a gifting goal today. Make sure you're tapping and clapping, because tapping is clapping, liking is loving, sharing is caring. Help us get up to the FYP. Thank you all.
You recall the majority asking you about this at length in their first 2 rounds so far today?
Yes.
Did Donald Trump and his co-conspirators try to reach out to members of Congress before January 6th and on January 6th of 2021?
Yes.
Can you tell us a little bit about what your investigation uncovered regarding communications with members of Congress that's related to the attack on the Capitol on January 6th?
There was pretty extensive contact with members of Congress. There were instances of members of Congress, again, specifically on January 6th, but also before that, where either they were reaching out to the White House or the White House was reaching out to them, and through conduits to the president, including, as I said, Mark Meadows.
Okay. And what was the nature? Let's start with before January 6th. What was the nature of some of these communications with the White House or with co-conspirators of Donald Trump leading up to January 6th and members of Congress?
Well, it varied. Sometimes the communications were relevant to us to show that people were telling Donald Trump that the things he was saying were not true. Other times, they were evidence of the false nature of the things that we're saying. So, for an example, would be there are 2 voicemails that Rudy Giuliani left for senators, and those voicemails show him saying things that were not true, using knowingly false claims to try to get those senators to further delay the certification of the vote.
But you just mentioned that there were instances before January 6th of...
Wait, are you saying that the 2020 election wasn't stolen? Huh. Interesting.
Members calling the White House, and I'm summarizing, to basically express that some of the claims the president and his co-conspirators were making were not true. Is that what you just said?
Well, I should be specific. There were a variety of reasons and I'm not trying to say that any time someone contacted the White House, they were involved in a crime themselves or doing anything improper. But how this conspiracy that was trying to stop the lawful transfer of power, how that worked, it was important for us to understand. We had evidence from Department of Justice officials that Donald Trump said to them, just say the election is corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican congressman.
That was in the superseding indictment, those conversations. Just say the election was corrupt and leave the rest to me and the Republican members of Congress. But nothing to see here, right? Okay.
I think given that was the perspective that Donald Trump had, our view is that the case we would have presented at trial would have been Donald Trump preying on the party allegiance of people in his party. And people like the vice president didn't agree to that. People like the elector from Pennsylvania I mentioned didn't agree to that. People like the Speaker of the House in Arizona didn't agree to that. But the extent to which those contacts were happening was relevant to our.
Again, MAGA, nothing to see here though, right? So you don't believe Jack Smith. Again, you'll believe a 23-year-old YouTuber who has a history of spreading conspiracy theories and misinformation, who was invited to the anti-Antifa roundtable at the White House, sitting down talking with other right-wing conspiracy theorists. You'll believe them, but you won't believe the evidence presented here. You'll believe Nick Shirley, who even himself admitted that, oh yeah, okay, I guess that's true. That makes sense that the doors are locked. You're going to believe him. You're going to believe him, but you're not going to believe an investigation with evidence connecting the dots to crimes, with actual evidence. You're going to believe that. And you guys are going to chirp in here. There's 1,500 people in here, and you guys are going to chirp. And that's the hill you're willing to die on. Yep. I'm going to believe Nick Shirley. Do you know who Nick Shirley is? I do. He's the guy that went to Minnesota and found all that fraud with them Somalis. Right. You also know that he went to Ukraine. I do. And he said no war. Do you know that he went to Western Ukraine where there was actually no fighting and didn't go to Eastern Ukraine? Well, that don't matter. They could have just hid all the stuff. That's what it feels like to us. That's literally what it feels like. It feels like that since you all live in feelings, let's talk about our feelings, shall we? To us, it feels like you just want to find something that support you and seen. Exactly. It's you want to find something that you can hold on to, whether it be with your fingernails or your toenails, your talons, whatever it might be, that helps you navigate through all the pressure that you're feeling because your boy's in the Epstein files. Gifting got suspended. What behavior? God damn it. Apparently gifting was suspended, guys. So you want to support the channel, use the pay apps. Appreciate you. That's how far this has gone, right? That's literally how far you're willing to go. So a little bit more from Jack Smith. Because his testimony was just great, and I'm glad we finally get a chance to hear from him, because he's been quiet, and that's been by design, because a lot of the records were sealed, and he asked to testify publicly. Republicans said no, but now we've got more people, or now we've got more information. So here you go. He's interviewed other people that are connected to this whole thing.
Boris Epstein, before these subpoenas were issued, he corroborated that they were, in fact, trying to call senators.
There you go. Boris Epstein, one of Trump's lawyers, corroborated in their interviews that, yes, he was, in fact, trying to call senators. Okay? What more do you need to know?
He dissembled and tried to imply that the president hadn't directed him to do it, even though there was a text message saying specifically that they had. But he agreed that they tried to call these senators and that they had certain senators' numbers themselves, and so they didn't need those numbers. And that would be, I believe it was Senator Cruz, and possibly, I think he said they possibly tried to call Senator Graham as well.
Taking a step back, this might be obvious for a lot of folks, but just make sure it's clear for the record. Who is Mr. Epstein?
Boris Epstein was one of the co-conspirators in this case.
And what role did Mr. Epstein play in the larger conspiracy, if you can summarize it?
Well, he played several roles. He was involved in the fake elector scheme, and also in sort of pushing out some of these false fraud claims. The other thing, I'm sorry, just to go back to mention is, we also, in the course of the investigation, interviewed Rudy Giuliani. And one of the things that we asked him, if you recall, in the message and I can't remember which senator it was for, but in the message that he left, he said, referenced the fact that he was calling on fellow Republicans. And in the interview, we asked him, why did you say you were calling on your fellow Republicans? And he said, well, I wasn't going to be calling Democrats about this. Even some Republicans wouldn't go along with this. So of course I would call only Republicans. And in fact, that was consistent with our investigation throughout, that the people that President Trump and his co-conspirators reached out to were people who they thought would go along or help them because of party allegiance. And Giuliani in particular would reference that he expected their cooperation because they were Republican. We had also...
So, MAGA, I know it's hard to follow context because you're so angry that Jack Smith's getting any kind of pub, right? I think, quite frankly, that you have a little crush. We did an FMK with Jack Smith, and although it didn't go like I thought, anyway, you don't want to listen to the fact that even people that were involved on Trump's team even acknowledged that they were reaching out to senators to try to get help. I mean, even people closest to him, are they all rhinos? Right? Are they all rhinos in this case? Because they didn't agree to the crimes? Does that make them a rhino? Lindsey Graham all up in his shit, so angry that he snuck in legislation so that members of these 8 senators and members of the House who were being investigated could sue the DOJ? Really? Really? That's what you want to focus on now? Once again, you won't believe this, but you'll believe Nick Shirley. You believe the president, who's a pathological liar. You'll believe all of that, but you won't believe any of this. You'll believe that the weaponization of the government happened under the Biden administration. You'll believe that without any evidence. We'll play some more sound. Apparently the gifting got suspended, guys. So again, if you want to support the channel, you know how to do that. Don't know why. It happens. You'll believe all of that, but you won't believe testimony. Do you understand why it is that we tell you guys that you're in a cult? Do you understand why we make that claim every single day? Do you understand that? Are you aware of the fact that it's not that we don't want to have conversations with you. It's because you don't believe anything other than what suits your confirmation bias. Period. The president literally telling his attorney general to investigate Jack Smith, to investigate James Comey, to investigate Letitia James, to investigate Adam Schiff, literally says, go after them. Indictments come out against Comey, indictments come out against Letitia James, they fall on their face. But that's not weaponization to you. That's retribution, and you're okay with it. All right. Just checking in. Just wanted to make sure. All right, I've got a few more things on Jack, and then we're this fascinating story I'm going to play for you guys about this whole, again, our president took the word of Vladimir Putin last week. I know, shocker, right? Here's some more little nuggets from Jack's testimony. This was about whether or not the Biden administration, or Joe Biden, or Merrick Garland in particular, had asked him to investigate.
Are other DOJ officials direct investigative steps within your office of the special counsel?
No.
Did Attorney General Garland or other DOJ officials direct litigation decisions within your office?
No.
Did you experience Attorney General Garland or other DOJ officials interfering with your ability to conduct this investigation?
No.
Did President Biden ever give you any instructions about what you should or should not do related to these investigations?
No.
Did you ever speak to President Biden about these investigations?
No.
Real simple question. Once again, MAGA, sense a theme here. Jack Smith testifying under oath in front of Congress, right? Ask questions. Did President Biden ever give you any instructions about what you should or should not do related to these investigations? No. Did Attorney General Garland or other DOJ officials direct investigative steps within your office to the special counsel? Jack Smith, no. Did you ever speak to President Biden about these investigations? Jack Smith, no. So you don't believe that. You won't believe his testimony, but you'll believe Nick Shirley. You'll believe the president when he said that they're eating the dogs and they're eating the cats. You'll believe that. You'll believe the president when he tells you that eagles are dying because of windmills. You'll believe that. Again, you'll believe a YouTuber who is known for spreading lies and conspiracy theories. You'll believe that, but you won't believe Jack Smith. That's what you're saying. Anybody care to defend it? I would love somebody who doesn't believe Jack Smith, but believes Nick Shirley to request up. That's what I'd like to see. You won't do that though, will you? Because you can't. Because you know how embarrassing it would look. Again, you're not going to believe the court's witness testimony. You certainly don't believe women. You don't believe trial transcripts. You don't believe court records. You don't believe science. You don't believe evidence, etc., 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 etc. But you'll believe Nick Shirley. And you'll believe the pathological liar that is the president. See, when you frame it that way, I'll ask you, when I frame it that way, MAGA, does that resonate at all? Resonate's a big word. Do you get a little tingle that maybe you're being lied to and that you're gullible? Maybe. Hard to say though, right? Okay. Don't worry, I've got some more. This is about the attack itself. And he makes a very, very powerful statement here. But again, I'm not sure if our friends on the right will believe it, but here you go. Again, this is testimony. I know it's hard to believe testimony. Here's Jack again.
You can say the special counsel's office is only interested in prosecuting President Trump because an election's coming up and he's going to be the Republican nominee. And the special counsel works for a Democratic president. The special counsel works for a Democratic attorney general. And so the special counsel's laser focus on President Trump is simply to prevent him from, either being the party's nominee or being a successful party's nominee, or at the very least, keeping him off the campaign trail. How do you respond to that?
All of that is false. And I'll say...
Oh, sorry. Hold on a second. Sorry, I got to play this from the top again.
Then you can say... The special counsel's office is only interested in prosecuting President Trump because an election's coming up and he's going to be the Republican nominee. And the special counsel works for a Democratic president. The special counsel works for a Democratic attorney general. And so the special counsel's laser focus on President Trump is simply to prevent him from either being the party's nominee or being a successful party's nominee, or at the very least, keeping him off the campaign trail. How do you respond to that?
All of that is false, and I'll say a few things. The first is the evidence here made clear that President Trump was, by a large measure, the most culpable and most responsible person in this conspiracy. These crimes were committed for his benefit. The attack that happened at the Capitol as part of this case does not happen without him. The other co-conspirators were doing this for his benefit. So in terms of why we would pursue a case against him, I entirely disagree with any characterization that our work was in any way meant to hamper him in the presidential election.
So again, don't want to believe any of that? Is that what we're saying now? Can't believe any of that, but we're going to believe the words from the president? Okay. Good morning, Sully. How are you today?
Hey, I'm good. So I got introduced to you by a guy named Tommy Red. Do you know Tommy?
I sure do. Love Tommy.
Yeah. Yeah, he introduced me to you. I just wanted to come up and say, like, I appreciate what you do. I love what you do. And I wanted to touch on something. I don't get to ask you guys this much. Like, so I went to a live stream last night where it was like 8-on-1 MAGA. I was like, I watched you guys do that because I've seen you do that before. And I was like, all right, fuck it. I'll do it. I'll go do the 8-on-1 thing. And it's funny because when you go in and they have the advantage and they still won't let you talk.
Of course not.
And like,
you know why that is though, right, Sully? You know why that is.
No, I'm new to this. So, but no.
Okay. So first of all, thank you for bringing that up. So this is just my own analysis. The reason that so many MAGA creators have a panel of 7 or 8 or 9 people is because they need each other to try to control the conversation. They're afraid to have one-on-one conversations like this because when they're exposed, they have no one else to hide behind. That's why. Right.
That's a good point because I just realized we were talking about specifically the pew pew deaths of children, and I was trying to get them to admit because the one guy said I was like, if I told you we could wipe away all child pew pew deaths, like if I could wipe them away, just give up your pew pews. He was like, yeah, sure, I would do that. And then I kind of went down that road a little bit with him. And then when I was like, would you give up your pew pews? He's like, no. I was like, but you just said you would. Like, you're all over the place, and I'm like, and then they're doing like the 8-on-1 thing where they're muting me. And I'm like, okay, clearly I'm striking a nerve. Exactly. But I don't want to take too much of your time. I just want to tell you, I love what you do. And Tommy introduced me to you, and I'm so glad he did. I love your stream. And I appreciate that.
Thank you, bro. I appreciate that. I just followed you back. Thanks for being here. I appreciate you. Keep fighting, friend. Keep fighting. Thanks a lot. Have a good day and be safe out there.
Thank you. You too.
I appreciate that. Hey, Miguel, would you come up for a second? Because I want to address your nonsense. You probably won't. Maybe you can just make a request. I don't know if you will or not, but I would like to address your stupid comment. But you probably won't make a request. But anyway, that's fine. That is the game, right? That is the game. Whoa, what happened to the screen? It's weird. That is the game that our friends on the right like to play these days. And Tom said this in the chat. They can't control the narrative, right? That they can't control the narrative, which makes it easy for those of us who've got the truth on our side. And remember, I've said this to you guys a million times before. What's going on with the filter? Hold on a second. Strange. I've said this to you guys a million times before. Do not relent on the truth. If you've got the evidence on your side, then stick to it. They want to rage bait. Right-wing creators are fucking grifters. That's all. You'll notice a lot of the hosts won't even talk. They won't even be on the screen. They'll just sit off to the side. And there are people in this app that are intentionally spreading misinformation because they are connected to the grift. They know. Thank you, Manny. Appreciate you. By the way, Manny, say hi in the chat because Manny was doing the work last night. Manny was doing the work big time. So hearts in the chat for Manny because he was absolutely doing the fucking work. The problem is there are people who identify certain individuals as thought leaders. I had an interesting DM conversation last night with someone who aligns with a particular creator that's getting a lot of attention in this app. And what this person admitted to me in a DM, they said, the reason that we like this person, like we do is because they feel like this person is the smartest one they have to go up against liberals, admitting that liberal creators are significantly smarter than people that they have on the right. And they think this person is as smart. Due respect. They aren't. They aren't. They're in it for the fucking grift. Plain and simple. But imagine that. Someone who is willing to admit through doing DM, and I won't expose them, I won't share it, that's totally fine, I'm not going to do that, it's not necessary. But that I've got the receipts if necessary. But that's what this person admitted to. That's why they like certain individuals, because they feel like this person can hold their own intellectually. And they can't. And they can't. So I'm just throwing that out there for you guys to observe this yourself. And I would ask people in the chat now, because you're all out here. My mod Sam calls them the puppies. Would you like to affiliate with yourself, or do you mind affiliating with yourself with someone who just lies to you all the time? If that's your kink, then I can't fix it. Or would you rather be able to think critically for once in your life? Just have a moment of clarity that says, you know what? That seems really weird. For example, it seems really, really weird that we had to drone strike ships in the Caribbean that weren't even, don't disrespect puppies, fair enough, that we'd have to drone strike ships in the Caribbean where we have the Coast Guard that interdicts vessels, effectively, by the way, in U.S. waters. But no, we can't continue to do that. Somehow, some way, somebody will try to find justification. Two things can be true, okay? I wasn't going to get into this, but since you brought it up. Two things can be true. People on the left agree, by and large, that there is a drug schmepidemic or a schmug epidemic in our country. Where we don't agree is the way in which the right is bloodthirsty, going after people in the Caribbean. Now, what we would prefer is to address the problem through the appropriate means, like, investing more in community health centers to help treat drug problems, or arrest people who are distributing drugs. And definitely not pardoning people who are some of the biggest drug dealers there are. No. What you choose to do is just indiscriminately harm reduction. Exactly, Heather. What you want to do, what you cheer on, is indiscriminately unaliving people. I'll remind people once again, the president and Pete Hegseth both said that they would release publicly the double tap. They both said that in public statements, that they would release it. Why are they not doing it now? Why are they not doing it now? And I'll remind you that Tom Cotton said, even in the video that he saw of the first strike, because they see the second strike as well, that people were swimming towards capsized vessels. A boat that was just hit with missiles. A boat, in Pete Hegseth's word, in Tom Cotton's word, was on fire. People climbing on top of this boat. Those people were a threat. Again, MAGA, puppies. You want to align yourself with people who say that the Geneva Convention can fuck off? I will remind you that the United States military, any military member and or U.S. citizen that is captured for whatever reason, the Geneva Convention, because other countries are involved in that, protect those people from being tortured, from being summarily executed. So don't ever tell us again that you care and or support the United States military, especially if you align with people who say the Geneva Convention can fuck off. So this is a character assessment. Okay? This is a character assessment. You can use your fancy words, and you can try to pivot and change the conversation and use boring old fucking debate tactics that are so easy to debunk. But if you do that, what you are saying is, we support United States military if they're captured, being summarily executed and or tortured. Because you don't think things through. Yeah, due respect to puppies. It's really not that difficult. It's really not. Just want to throw that out there. Okay. Yes, Oli, you can if you want to.
Hey, I'm glad you brought this up. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention this, but I'm glad you brought this up. So, the whole Venezuela thing, right?
Yeah.
The whole idea is we are preventing smugs from coming into this country, right? So, Steve, correct me if I'm wrong. The Washington Post has an article out, I think it was December 8th, that Trump had pardoned more than 100 people related that were smug-related crimes or dealers.
Oh, yeah.
And then per the Baltimore Sun, Trump pardoned a smug dealer, a multi-million-dollar smug ringleader. Trump pardoned him, and that just came out also around December 8th.
Correct.
Somewhere in that area. So
correct.
So this idea that and Tommy brings this up on his stream, and I love this. The Venezuela thing, for example, when they did the quote unquote double tap, that ship, and per the Department of Justice, not my words, their own words, that ship was moving south from Venezuela. And last time I checked, I mean, I might not be the most geographically literate man, but I think south from Venezuela does not end up here, So that's crazy. Like they were heading south.
Yeah. Part of the, again, more of the lies and the misinformation that our friends on the right are trying to spread is that this particular boat was off the coast of Puerto Rico. Not true. According to the admiral who testified, the person who was responsible for these strikes, in his testimony, he said these boats were heading towards Suriname, which is east and a little bit south of Venezuela if you look at a map. That's not heading towards the U.S. Suriname is a hub for distribution to Europe. So again, it's more fucking lies. But you have to, again, I know the bad Sam is in here, not our Sam. Hearts in the chat for our Sam because we love her. Bad Sam supports criminals. Bad Sam supports drug dealers. Bad Sam supports crime and corruption.
Sure, and I would like to point out that this is weird because this shouldn't even be an argument. So let's just assume that the Trump administration was right. Let's just assume, sake of argument, devil's advocate. Let's say they were right, and they're bringing smugs here or whatever. And okay, that's great. But you already sank their ship, and last time I checked, the United States law and international law says that you do not off people who are in the water. You are meant to render aid immediately. That is U.S. law.
Correct.
International law. So
correct.
So even if they were right, you did that on purpose. You took them people out on purpose. That's piss poor policy. And you killed you unalived people. You can't dispute that. That's not up for debate. You violated law. That's not up for debate.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Sully, thanks for coming back in. I appreciate you. Thanks for being here.
No problem. Thank you.
You got it. See you later. You got it. He's right. Again, it's not two things can be true. Like I said, you guys can try to use the argument that we don't care about schmugs when we're actually the ones that do. Considering the big, beautiful bill literally defunded the police, MAGA, including some of those budget cuts, by the way, that were in the big, beautiful bill, proving once again that MAGA and Donald Trump defunded the police. A lot of the money cut went to communities to help with drug prevention on those streets. You understand that? Since you guys defunded the police, right? The big, beautiful bill literally defunds the police. We care about intervention. We also care about the law. You don't. The Coast Guard has been doing their job, including under the Trump administration, interdicting boats in U.S. waters. That's their mission. You all don't care. You don't fucking care. Just like you don't care about kids. You certainly don't give a fuck about women. Women, your whole bullshit narrative about men and women's sports, miss me with your fucking bullshit. You don't give a fuck. You don't fucking care. You don't care about kids in daycare centers. You don't give a shit. Soon as that child is born, it becomes a football, and you'll pass it on to somebody else. You don't give a fuck. Once again, this is what you're going to be remembered as. No, it's all good, Tom. I'm good. You all don't. This is how you guys are going to be remembered. You're going to be remembered for supporting people who did these things. But you know what? You guys are, because you're so fucking cowardice and so weak, you'll just deny it. When somebody asks you in a few years if you voted for Trump, you'll be like, oh God, no, I would never vote for that guy. Or some of you be like, I sure did, and then people will be like, you voted for that? Okay, that's fine. All right, back to Jack Smith. Because the whole free speech argument. This is what he had to say.
I can't remember specific conversations. I do remember that we knew that a sort of First Amendment defense would be part of the case. And I think when I mentioned to you earlier about how to frame the case, we want to make clear that this was not about trying to interfere with anyone's First Amendment rights, that this was a fraud. And as you know, under Supreme Court precedent, fraud is not protected by the First Amendment. And so in my mind, it was important to make that clear in the indictment. And that's why when we litigated this issue before the district court, we prevailed.
But the president's statements that he believed the election was rife with fraud, those certainly are statements that are protected by the First Amendment, correct?
Absolutely not if they are made to target a lawful government function and they're made with knowing falsity. No, they're not. That was my point about fraud not being protected by the First Amendment.
I mean, there's a long list of disputed elections. I mean, the election of 1800, 1960, year 2000, where candidates believe they were wronged by because they lost. And there's a long history of candidates speaking out about they believe there's been fraud, there's been other problems with the integrity of the election process. And I think you would agree that those types of statements are sort of at the core of the First Amendment rights of a presidential candidate, right?
There is no historical analog for what President Trump did in this case. As we said in the indictment, he was free to say that he thought he won the election. He was even free to say falsely that he won the election. But what he was not free to do was violate federal law and use knowingly false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function. That he was not allowed to do. And that differentiates this case from any past history.
I think Jack Smith has made his way to many people's lists.
Hey now.
I'm just saying. I mean, he's right. Fraud is not protected by free speech. You can't, your free speech uttering fraud, saying something is not true when it, or isn't, or is true when it's not, that's a fraud. You don't get to do that. Sorry. Hey, Tom. Before you start, real quick, I know you're in New York City. Is a city now, an urban slum because you have a new mayor?
Yes. Sadly, I wanted to come on camera and say this. I had to come on camera. My girlfriend has to wear a full burqa. I can't even see her anymore. It's absurd. Yeah. She just called me. She told me that I can pick her up later, but it's going to be hard to find her because everybody looks alike now.
Right, exactly. I figured that. Everybody's got their burqa.
Yep.
I mean, that's it, man. That's it.
I'm going to end up with 5 different women in my car, and I'm going to have to cycle them until I find my girlfriend. It's absurd.
Tom, you know what MAGA is really angry about? Because now in New York City, children are going to be taught Arabic numerals.
Yes, I had to say 7 the other day.
I know, it's awful. It's so awful. I shit you not, folks. People are actually criticizing that. There are people that are making comments saying, in New York City now, our children are forced to learn Arabic numerals. Yeah, that's what we're dealing with.
Unbelievable. But dude, I'm going to let you go. I love your show. I just wanted to point out something. I have a little prediction here. This is just my opinion, TikTok, of course. I feel that Donald Trump, Pam Bondi, they're going to do nothing about Jack Smith. You know how they come up with these trumped up charges for everybody? They're not going to go near him. And this is my prediction. Discovery.
Agreed.
If they go any fucking where near him, they're going to have to fucking show something, which is going to show their cards. Anyway, have a great day. Agree. I just wanted to make that point, bro.
You too, bro. Happy New Year. See you later. Thanks.
Bye, everybody. Same.
He's right. He's absolutely right. I mean, it's similar, right? Don't forget, a lot of women have come out and made statements against Donald Trump, making assertions and their own allegations, their testimony about the things that he had done to them. Why are they not being sued? Why are they not being sued? The reason they're not being sued is because of discovery. Jack, according to Aileen Cannon, a lot of the records that Jack Smith has in these investigations, right, Mar-a-Lago as well, she won't release publicly. He's not going to sue. Trump's not going to sue. Pam Bondi's not going to go after Jack Smith. No fucking way, because of discovery. Did I just see something? Sam, did you just change your name? Sam, best Sam. Yes, that's great. So again, discovery. Tom is exactly right. There's no way in fucking hell, that he's going to go anywhere near that. What does that tell you, MAGA? If what Jack Smith is saying isn't true, then why wouldn't the president sue him? Oh, I know. Yeah. A few more sound bites from Jack because he was bringing the heat. Here you go. Oh, real quick. Let me just do this real quick. Let's see. Jennifer, thank you for your 2. I appreciate you very much. You said, thank me for being here. I appreciate you. That's very kind of you. Peace, Peeps for Peace. Happy New Year, Steve. Thank you. That's very kind of you. Appreciate you very, very much. I think I got Dawn. If not, Spreading Knowledge. Thank you, Dawn. I appreciate you guys. You're very kind. Here's some more testimony.
There's an accusation being made about your bias as a special counsel's office, and I want to make sure that we rebut these in the first hour. I think it's important too. So, did the Attorney General or any other DOJ official ever press you to be more aggressive in your investigation of President Donald J. Trump?
No.
Did the Attorney General or any other DOJ official ever suggest that you were expected to bring charges against President Trump?
No.
Did anyone from the White House, including President Biden, ever tell you they expected you to bring charges against Donald Trump?
No.
When you eventually did bring charges against Donald Trump, how did you make that decision? Walk us through it at a high level, if you don't mind.
Sure. It was based on the facts and based on the law. I ultimately made that decision, but I consulted with my team of prosecutors on that case, who were outstanding public servants, people with great experience in complex investigations. I took their advice and counsel in making that decision, and I tried to consider all factors, including both the strength of the case that we believe we had, possible defenses, all things of that nature.
So, which based on what you just said, it sounds like you made this prosecution decision based on the evidence in the law. Is that correct?
That's correct.
What would you have done if you felt
shocker evidence and the law? What do you know?
Any improper pressure from a DOJ official or the White House?
I think people who know me and have known my reputation would know that would not end well. If someone tried to pressure me to move a case in one direction or the other wasn't supported by the law, I wouldn't stand for it. And I would also say the people who worked in my office wouldn't stand for that either.
Anything to say, MAGA? Oh, again, I'll remind you, Bad Sam, I'll remind you that you believe Nick Shirley, okay? You believe him. You believe a YouTuber who's known to fabricate information. You believe that guy, but you won't believe Jack Smith. And you won't believe Republicans who also pushed back against the president, who testified in front of the J6 committee, right? You won't. See what I mean? See, this is, again, look. See how desperate. We know Sam's a bit of a troll. Bad Sam. Let me put this up there. We know Bad Sam is a troll. You think Nick Shirley is exposing the truth? Could you have the same energy towards Jack Smith exposing the truth behind the fraud and the attempt of Donald Trump to overthrow the government? So if you were somebody who had integrity, Bad Sam, not to be confused with Awesome Sam, if you had any integrity, Bad Sam, your next comment would be Donald Trump committed fraud as he attempted to overthrow the government because Jack Smith is exposing the truth. But you won't do that, will you, Bad Sam? You won't do that. You won't do that. Of course not.
There's a lot of inferences and accusations being made about your bias as a special counsel's office, and I want to make sure that we...
Oh, I already played that one. But you won't do that, because that would be too easy. Here's more from Jack. It's necessary to play all this because I don't want it to be lost in history. Because MAGA won't get this from their right-wing spaces now, will they?
Supreme Court's decision on executive immunity constitutes an exoneration of President Trump's conduct in the months and weeks leading up to January 6th and January 6th.
No.
Would you just explain that for us? Why?
The question was, did the Supreme Court's decision regarding presidential immunity, did that exonerate the president? Jack Smith's like, nope.
I don't see that as an exoneration for what he did.
Sure. I understand the Supreme Court decision. If I just go back for a second, this was an issue we litigated in the district court. The district court agreed with us. We litigated it in the Court of Appeals. The Court of Appeals agreed with us. We litigated in the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court majority did not agree with us. They took a view of executive power that was more expansive than what we argued. I disagreed with it for the reasons we set forth in our brief and the reasons stated by the dissent in the case, Justice Sotomayor. But it is the law of the land. And what my office sought to do in responding to that was to follow the law and see, do we still have a case? And I think the evidence that we had after that decision remained powerful. I talked earlier today about state officials who put allegiance to the country.
So again, MAGA, you won't believe that. You won't believe the fact that every lower court said, no, the president does not have immunity. Again, in service to their duty as the office, not to overthrow the results of an election. But again, Bad Sam, you'll believe Nick Shirley. You will believe a conspiracy theorist, a YouTube grifter who's 23. You'll believe that. Yes, the last audio was Jamie Raskin, I believe. You'll believe that. You'll believe right-wing conspiracy theorists, but you won't believe the evidence. Okay. Just making sure. I just wanted to make sure that was the case. I think I've got a couple more for you. Yeah, this is the whole free speech piece. I think I might have played this one before, but I want to make sure it gets covered again.
The statements are sort of at the core of the First Amendment rights of a presidential candidate, right?
There is no historical analog for what President Trump did in this case. As we said in the indictment, he was free to say that he thought he won the election. He was even free to say falsely that he won the election. But what he was not free to do was violate federal law and use knowingly false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function. Mm-hmm. That he was not allowed to do. And that differentiates this case from any past history.
Again, Jack Smith on if Trump's statements were free speech. Quote, he was free to say that he thought he won the election. He was even free to say falsely that he won the election. But what he was not free to do was violate federal law and use knowingly false statements about election fraud to target a lawful government function. That he was not allowed to do. And Jen, thank you for your 3 on Venmo. And she says, what a stark contrast between how the junk drawer cabinet answers questions in hearings versus Smith's testimony and his answers. And he didn't have to run off to some emergency, non-existent meeting. I would agree. I would agree with that. And I think this is the last one that I want to play for you. Here you go. Hang on one sec. It's not loading for some reason. I'll get it.
That President Trump, was responsible for the violence at the Capitol on January 6th?
So our view of the evidence was that he caused it, and that he exploited it, and that it was foreseeable to him.
But you don't have any evidence that he instructed people to crash the Capitol, do you?
As I said, our evidence is that he, in the weeks leading up to January 6th, created a level of distrust. He used that level of distrust to get people to believe fraud claims that weren't true. He made false statements to state legislatures, to his supporters, in all sorts of contexts, and was aware in the days leading up to January 6th that his supporters were angry when he invited them, and then he directed them to the Capitol.
Gifting suspended again. God, I don't know what's going on here. We got to move off this. Hold on. I just want to go back in time a second, right? The lies started in regard to the 2020 election before the election even happened. Okay? We know that. We know from statements, we know from tweets, we know from all kinds of evidence reported that he was already planting the seed. He was already telling, it was in July, he was already telling his voters that if we lose, it's because of fraud. F1 in the chat, please. So they've already primed the pump. The entire time leading up to J6 was about, huge event, huge rally in DC, be there, it's going to be wild, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Already primed. The lie machine in full rage, incoherently, attack the media, blame the Democrats. The lie machine was in full operation. All of it. People got there that day and they were already angry. He incited violence. He lied to the American public. And lots of his followers, thousands of them, went to DC that day to do what? Why did they come with zip ties? Why did they come in riot gear? Why did they come with bear spray and pepper spray? Why did they build a gallows? Why did they beat up cops? Why did they smash windows? Why did Ashley Babbitt get the booster shot? Well, thank you, Clyde. Why was there a war room the night before? Why? But is that again, you don't believe any of that. But you believe Nick Shirley. Why don't you believe the testimony from Brad Rapsenberger? Just go find me 11,780 votes. No, we're not going to do that. Why? Yeah. Why do they bring firearms? Exactly. Why were there people arrested for having firearms on Capitol grounds? Why was there a store of weapons found across the river in Virginia? Why did Enrique Tarrio and Stuart Rhodes go to jail for seditious conspiracy? Why were 1,600 people connected to their crimes at the Capitol, including beating up police officers? Why were they pardoned? How, if they were Antifa, then why would the president pardon them? Stand back and stand by. Exactly, Sue. Why? Why is that the case? Why was it that those people that were pardoned, many of them had pretty serious crimes prior to J6? Daniel Rodriguez tasered a cop in the neck. Is that fine with you, you law and order fucks? You're okay with that? You see, this is the problem, not for us, but for you. Because you have run under this flag of patriotism. Thank you. Gifting's back. Appreciate you. Everybody gift, please. If you wouldn't mind, I'd appreciate that. Okay, you want to support the channel? Maybe help us hit that goal today. I'd appreciate that. There's 1,400 people in here. If everybody gave $1, we could bang that right out. Thank you all. You've built your entire narrative around your devotion to Donald Trump. One of the reasons that we always say don't worship politicians is because of this. We all know what J6 was. It would not have happened without the president. It wouldn't have. It would not have happened. Bro, really? He's a troll. January 6th would not have happened without Donald Trump lying to the American public. There would not have been the Stop the Steal rally. There would not have been acts of violence in an attempt to disrupt a constitutionally protected activity. There would not have been an insurrection. Ashley Babbitt would not have lost her life. People would not have been sent to jail. Lawmakers would not have been under threat if it wasn't for Donald Trump. Period. It would not have happened. And that's what Jack Smith pointed out. It would not have happened. And no one who's got any kind of fucking brain can say otherwise. It would not have happened. If he could just have accepted the results instead of being the pussy ass bitch that he was, we wouldn't have had this conversation. There wouldn't be debate. And you same fucking idiots forget about what happened in the history. When the president sends in the National Guard into D.C. this summer, by the way, with the exception of D.C., judges have said, pull the troops. Trump lost on that because he violated the law. He sends troops into D.C., right? He did that this summer, but he couldn't do it on January 6th, 2020? Explain how that worked. Did the law change? Did the rules change suddenly? So the argument that you made back then was that it was the Speaker of the House. So why didn't Mike Johnson call in the National Guard? Strange, right? Why, so if Nancy Pelosi could have done it then, why didn't Mike Johnson do it now? And the issue that I have with that whole thing, the fact that people are still playing it up, is that by acknowledging or by your willingness to admit or state that Nancy Pelosi had the authority to call in, I don't want to make it about the person. I want to make it about the title. It is your argument that the title of Speaker of the House, that person could call in the National Guard to D.C., forgetting that the commander-in-chief is at the top of the list. So what you're saying in your ignorance is that the Speaker of the House has more power than the president. Really? Really? But now he calls in the DC Guard this summer? But you're okay with that, right? Okay. You see, sometimes I feel like I have to gentle parent you, although I don't really want to gentle parent, but sometimes I feel like I have to explain it like your kids. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Recent conversation I had in my house was like, you understand that if you allow your windshield wiper fluid to drain completely in the northern climates that we are in, it's going to make it difficult to see out of your windshield. MAGA, if you accept the fact, if you could take a step back for a second and understand that if Donald Trump hadn't said, the windshield wiper, if Donald Trump hadn't said the election was stolen, J6 would not have happened. See? It's not that complicated. Now, is it? No, it's not. Okay. Did I cover this one? All right, this is his attorney.
Significant to subpoena the Speaker of the House's toll records, right?
Hold on 1 second.
We followed department policy and we followed all legal requirements in getting those records.
I mean,
I played that one for you guys. I think I've got one more. Maybe. No. I got that. Okay. And then this speaks to the general current that runs through this whole thing is that there are people out there that say, that they're good people. No, I'm sorry. If you still support Donald Trump, you're not a good person. You're just not. This is on John Pavlovitz. He's got an account on Substack. I like the way he writes. He writes the way that I write, direct, without a lot of flower connected to it. This is what he said. I often hear people say, he or she supports him, but is really a good person. I consider that an oxymoron. I believe aligning with him is fundamentally antithetical to anything good. Generally speaking, there are things that good people don't do. Good people don't indiscriminately round up human beings, separate them from their families, and then throw them into stifling dog kennels or ship them to foreign countries without due process. Good people don't terminate dedicated public servants, highly educated physicians and scientists, and revered generals if they don't like the information these people provide them. Good people don't prevent the release of the results of investigations into massive human trafficking and sexual assault rings. Good people don't employ and platform YT supremacists and Yahtzees. They don't erase protections for water and the air, or for the elderly, the terminally ill, LGBTQI people. They don't vilify and violently attack peace protesters. They don't take away health care from the sick and from the poor. Good people don't prey upon the vulnerable. They don't leverage their influence to bully dissenters, and they don't harbor sexual predators. No, good people don't spend their every waking day generating misery, stoking division, and causing suffering. And good people don't defend people who do. That's just the truth, and we're all going to have to reckon with that. Good people don't do any of those things. They don't. It's not an excuse to say, I didn't know that. It's not an excuse to say, well, there are more important things to do. I did not write that, Indy, but that's something that I would write, but that's John Pavlovitz. Good people would never do shit like that. When we have these conversations with our friends on the right and we say, well, is it okay that the president used the R slur in reference to Tim Walz? Many of you would say, like, well, there are more important things to do. Really? Really? When he says quiet piggy or calls women stupid, many of you would say, well, that was kind of a stupid thing. Many of you would just excuse it because that's how you feel about it. And again, you'll believe 23-year-old YouTubers. You won't believe the women that have been assaulted, that have been trafficked, girls, children, even further. You won't believe any of them. You'll just believe the lies of a predator. As long as he's raging, attacking the media, and blaming Democrats, you're fine. We see you. We see you. This story is hilarious to me because do you guys remember the QAnon shaman? Jacob Chansley? Well, Jacob Chansley's been busy. Jacob Chansley, the man widely known as a QAnon shaman for his appearance during J6, has filed a $40 trillion, I shit you not, a $40 trillion lawsuit against the president and several other entities claiming to be the true American president. 26-page legal complaint filed in September in Maricopa County, Arizona, is written as a single continuous paragraph and contains several bizarre claims. Chansley, who was previously a devoted Trump supporter, expressed that Trump, quote, bold-faced lied to everybody and claims to have felt betrayed by the Trump administration's support of Israel and the refusal to release the Epstein files. Chansley was pardoned by Trump in January for his role in the Capitol riot. The lawsuit names a wide range of co-conspirators, including the NSA, Israel, Elon Musk and his X-Corp, T-Mobile, and Warner Brothers Studios. These are some of the claims that he made. The plots for the films The Dark Knight and Avatar were stolen from his personal writings. The NSA catfished him on Facebook using the likeness of actress Michelle Rodriguez to persuade him to use his shamanic abilities for otherworldly matters. He claims that he was emailed personally by Trump from a donaldtrump.nsa.gov email address. He says Chansley claims to the massive $40 trillion sum is not just for pain and suffering. $1 trillion for that. He would primarily be used to pay off the national debt of $38 trillion by minting a single gold coin and to rebuild American infrastructure. He stated that his goal is to hold a new constitutional convention and lead the country. Many legal analysts and news sources have described the lawsuits as beyond insane, bizarre, and unlikely to make it past a judge's initial review. That's Q. So those of you who are connected to Q still, because there's a lot of them, you, out there, is that what you believe too? Do you believe that the president lied to you? Because he does. If you're gonna sue the guy, exactly, Francis, Medicare for all, right fucking now. Mental health care, abso-fucking-lutely. If you're going to sue somebody, you might as well go big. $40 trillion. Did Boebert resign? Did that just happen? Did somebody just say that to me? Is that true, guys? Did Boebert resign? I don't know. That's interesting. We know MTG did. But again, those are Trump supporters. Okay? This guy was a dedicated Trump supporter. Hardcore. And now he's like, oh, the president lied to me. He realized it, but you haven't yet. Why is that? All right. Nothing to see here. That's fine. Okay. This story is pretty wild. In case you didn't know, let me play this for you first. So the president, in his meeting with Bibi Netanyahu, was asked a question about an alleged strike in Russia by Ukraine, specifically the Putin's house, or one of his homes. So this is a statement that the president made.
Are you worried that the strike, the alleged strike on Putin's residence, could scuttle the peace?
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. It's no good. It's no good. Don't forget, the Tomahawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they're offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it. What? Well, it came out. Well, we'll find out. I mean, you're saying maybe the attack didn't take place. It's possible too, I guess. But
I just want to point this out, MAGA, you simps. Okay, you simps. He said that Putin told him that Ukraine attacked his house. Well, the CIA, has determined that Ukraine did not target President Putin of Russia or one of his residences in attack this weekend, according to U.S. officials, rebutting the same assertion that President Trump made. John Ratcliffe, who was a Trump appointee, briefed Mr. Trump on the finding. A person familiar with the matter said, Mr. Trump has not directly acknowledged the intelligence, but on Wednesday, he posted on social media a link to a New York Post editorial that blamed Mr. Putin for standing in the way of a peace deal with Ukraine and cast doubt on the veracity of his claim that he was the target of an attack. On Monday, he said he was very angry about the purported attack. When Mr. Putin told him about it, the CIA declined to comment, and the White House referred questions to Mr. Trump's social media post. Russia had used the claim to threaten to harden its stance in negotiations as thorny issues already appear to be hampering talks to end the war. Wait a minute. Wait, isn't he the one who's going to end all these wars? Wow. but it has not presented any clear-cut evidence of the purported drone attack, which it said was aimed at Mr. Putin's residence in Novgorod region in a rural part of the country. Donald, it's Vlad. Hey, Vlad, listen, I need you to do me a favor. My house backyard got hit with drone. Okay? Okay, so what I need you to do, so this is bullshit, but I need you to tell people, because I'm telling you to tell people. I need you to tell people, especially the gullible people in your country, that Ukraine attacked my house. Okay, I got you. So you'll do that for me? Yeah, no problem. And then I will go back to Russia and explain them that when we increase the hostilities towards Kyiv, it will be justified because of Ukrainian attack on my house. And that's exactly what Trump did. Exactly. He literally said exactly what Putin wanted him to. Do you understand, MAGA? Do you fucking care about how pitiful this makes him look, and thus you? And your response is, and scene, exactly. And your response is, why can't we trust Russia? What? Really? Yeah, exactly. The missile had writing on it from Ukraine. Exactly. That's great. Who said that? Fire Rescue. You're right. Yeah, the missile had writing on it from Ukraine. To Vlad with love. To Russia with love. I mean, an American president, Ronald Reagan, is flipping over in his grave. The American president taking Vladimir Putin's word for it again. Just like when confronted in Helsinki, Finland, the infamous 2018 summit, when Putin was pressed about Russian interference, and our president said, I don't know why they would do that. Why would he lie to me? Sergey, Nikita, I fooled the president again. I literally told this fucking clown to tell American public that Kyiv attacked my house with a drone. And he fucking believed it again. Do you guys even fucking care how pitiful it makes you look? I mean, the lie machine is cranked. This isn't even a lie. Well, it is, but he thinks it's the fucking truth. First of all, it's a very interesting scene where he's standing next to one war criminal, Bibi Netanyahu, saying that another war criminal, Vladimir Putin, told him that Ukraine attacked his house with a drone. Thank you, Erica. Thank you for joining the team. Yeah, your Trump is better. Erica, I completely agree. Your Trump is much better. I agree. Your Trump is better, but I think I got a pretty good Vlad down. My Trump sucks. I agree. But I'm serious. Mega, I mean, this is why we talk to you guys about this, right? Why are you paying deference to a thug? You support a guy who unalives his own citizens? It makes us think that maybe you're getting a little micro dick limp Woody because you like that too? Really? Really? Oh, this is funny. Are you guys having an issue? Look at, you guys are so triggered. You guys are so triggered. Anyway. It just makes me laugh. Just because, like, how many times do you need to be shown that our president pays deference to Russia? How many times? We now know the recent story that Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner are part of the negotiation that hasn't gone anywhere about the Donbass, which is eastern Ukraine, and then western Russia, turning those into economic development zones that Russia gets to determine who gets to invest. And you think that's just a coincidence, right? The Donbass, which is like the economic engine of Ukraine because of where their rare earth minerals are. And you think there's nothing to see here. It's embarrassing. It's so embarrassing. We should do that. It's a good idea, Chris. Erica and I can role play. She can play Donald and I'll play Vlad. I'm not going to go there. Not going to go there.
Hey now.
Anyway. It's one of these things that I watch this shit happen. I'm thinking, where the fuck, how is it inside of 10 years that the same people, the MAGA patriots, the same people that would have been in the front row of Top Gun, in the front row of, what's the Red Dawn, in the front row of Miracle, watching the USA hockey team beat Russia, in the front row of Rocky beating up Drago, you guys would have been cheering that shit on. In 10 years, you've become Russian pro-Putin simps. Why? Why? You literally would have been the ones cheering that shit on. Micah Ruzioni, Miracle on Ice, Top Gun, take out the Russians. And we know that, right? We know that right-wing influencers are being paid by RT Media to spread propaganda misinformation. So many of you will be uttering Russian propaganda while denying Russian propaganda exists. This is an example of Russian Exactly. This is an example of Russian propaganda. President Putin trying to drum up support for retaliation, thus escalating the violence that already exists in Ukraine by telling the American president, because he knows he's a pushover simp, that my house was attacked by a Russian drone. And then Trump goes on the record and spreads that. Because the president told me. Just listen to the sound again. Just listen to this. Just listen.
I was worried that the alleged strike on Putin's residence could scuttle the peace.
Yeah, I don't like it. It's not good. I heard about it this morning. You know who told me about it? President Putin told me about it. Yeah. Early in the morning, he said he was attacked. That's no good. It's no good.
Totally.
Don't forget, the Tomahawk.
Like he brags about it. Told me about it? Vlad did. Vlad told me. He's got my hotline number.
Hawks. I stopped the Tomahawks. I didn't want that. Because we're talking about, it's a delicate period of time. This is not the right time. It's one thing to be offensive, because they were offensive. It's another thing to attack his house. It's not the right time to do any of that, and can't do it. And I learned about it from President Putin today. I was very angry about it.
Anyway, come on. Thank you, Erica, for your 10. I appreciate you very, very much. Happy New Year to you, too. Julie, thank you so very, very much. The $2 train. Brooke, thank you, sweetheart. I appreciate you very, very much. All right, let me do this. Sorry, gotta fix it. I just want to know. Yeah, I'm a total grifter. Exactly. Total grifter. I don't expect anybody to. You know what? Let's capitalize on that. Guys, since CXJR thinks I'm a grifter, then let this be the grift. Whatever gift you have, go ahead. Help us hit the goal. I'm going to lean in on the grift. Go ahead. Do me a solid. Let's show our friend CXJR what this community is capable of. Thank you all. You're very kind. I appreciate you very, very much. Can you I want people to imagine something for a second, is that when people, this is in capitalism, right? Because that's the society we live in. Should my work be free? Should my work? I don't suggest that you guys subscribe to TikTok anymore. That's up to you. That's up to you. I don't ask for anything more than helping us push the live out to the FYP. I post the goal every single day. I was against it for a long time. My mods finally convinced me to do that, right? No one's forcing anybody to do anything. If you'd like to support the channel, if you like what we do here, please contribute. It's that simple. Go ahead, guys. Grift like, oh, there we go. Grift like crazy. Let's try Viking hammer. Yes, the Viking hammer. Sweet. Yeah, exactly. I wouldn't mind getting a chunk of the change that they offer in mainstream media. Everybody grifts so hard. Exactly. The harder the better.
Hey now.
Let's go. Seriously. Grift like crazy, everybody. Empty your gift drawer. Let's show our friend CXJR, whatever the fuck it is, about I'm taking your grift. Go for it. Thank you. Thank you for the grift. I appreciate you guys. Yeah, grift like Trump. You guys are awesome. Thank you so much. Appreciate you all. It's hilarious. I love it. Hang on a second. Okay. Hang on. Monica, thank you so much. Nils, thank you so much. Nils, thank you for the 50. Appreciate that. Let's make 2026 kick ass. Monica, thank you so very, very much. I appreciate you. That's incredibly kind of you. It's amazing. You guys are incredible. Savage, thank you. Stephanie, thank you. Nancy, thank you. Jolie, thank you. Terry, thank you. Lisa, thank you so very, very much. You guys are amazing. You guys are incredible. Just like that. Thanks. Sam, I did the THX just for you. Thanks for the grift. There. Appreciate you all very, very much. Thank you, guys. I appreciate that. Again, yes, the thanks. Thank you. Look at that. Yeah, thank you. This is great. I appreciate you guys. Such a Gen Xer. I totally am. Totally am. Yes, I know that. Yes, THX. It's become this point of contention. Like I sign my emails to my clients, THX. Just done that a lot. Apparently that's not allowed. But what I'm going to start doing, I'm going to start dropping Gen Alpha terms on y'all, even though I don't know what the fuck they are or what they mean. Like I had to ask what 6-7 was, and I learned recently that it's like nothing. But anyway. Let me make sure I thank everybody. Savage, yes, thank you so much again. Stephanie, Nancy, Jolie, Terry, Lisa, thank you so much. Angela, thank you so much. Taylor, Leah, I got you, Erica. Let me see over here. Also to, I got Tom, Rhonda, thank you so much. Hazel, thank you so much. Appreciate you. Pedro, thank you so much. Alicia, thank you. That's awesome. You guys are amazing. And then I got Nils and I got Monica. You guys are great. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys. Thank you all for the grift. Appreciate you all so very, very much. All right. Okay. Back to this. Do I have anybody in the box? It's Free Speech Friday. I'll bring up Timo. Friends, Timo does a lot of support for Syrian refugees. As soon as he's able to join, if he can join, he can. If you have some coins you want to throw his way, that'd be great too. Looks like he might have timed out. I think he timed out. These conversations that we have, friends, what is that? Your image's hair is so much better than Trump's. Yeah, it's true. It's a good point. Thank you again. I appreciate you all very much. The weird part about this time in this hellscape, this timeline that we're on, is that there are people that are really trying to do the work. Yours truly included, right? I've said this to you guys before. This is important to me. I had no idea that it would turn into 125,000 followers and nearly 2 million views and a presence on Instagram and a presence on YouTube and Substack, et cetera, et cetera. I had no idea it would turn into this, but it has, and we see it as important. I know a lot of people say they want to start their day with us, and we get it. And I take that seriously. Sometimes I probably take it a little bit too seriously, and there has been times when my mental health has been impacted, which, speaking of that, tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time, Facts After Dark, the topic will be, are you okay? It's going to be a check-in. We're going to ask people what's on their mind. If you feel like you want a safe space and you want to come in and you want to get some stuff off your chest, I'll be there. Amy Dawn will join me as well a little bit later, but that'll be tonight at 7 o'clock Eastern time right here. I bring that up because we've got people in our country that are choosing to just believe lies. They are literally making the choice to believe lies. Thank you, Angie. I agree, Kipper. They're making that choice. It's a conscious decision. You could decide, yeah, safe space, exactly. You can decide to just accept the headline. Right. Okay. Hairdo. Gotcha. You could decide to accept the headline, or you could do what we do and look past it. We make historical comparisons because they're necessary. You use analogies to try to describe things. So when I talk about 1930s Germany, I don't just say, hey, Trump's just like 1930s Germany. I give you examples. We talk about the Lugenpresse. We talk about the Night of the Long Knives. We talk about those kinds of things. We talk about the historical examples of what it means when you target immigrants or marginalized groups. We make the historical comparisons. We use statements that the president has uttered, compared those to fascists of the past. We talk about his love for authoritarianism and autocrats. We do that because we're attempting to make an historical comparison. We can look back and say, this is what happened to those countries and those societies under authoritarian rule. We've got similarities. Now, these are the same things that are potentially happening here. And what are we going to do about it? That's why it's important to have these conversations. That's why. We'll continue to do it. Marathon of TDS. For real, you're back? Are you? You had an assignment. You had an assignment earlier, and you didn't do it. You ran away. Your assignment was, you are so concerned about fraud, then why are you not criticizing the president for pardoning fraudsters? Go ahead, we'll wait. Your next comment should be, I think it's ridiculous that the president is pardoning people who've been convicted of fraud. You won't do that, though, will you? No, you won't. You'll run away again. You see? You're definitely out of the throuple. You can't come back. And you had such soft hands. But anyway, and I didn't really like the picture. I mean, turning over your left shoulder. I preferred the one in which you turned over your right shoulder. But you won't do that, will you? See, again, you won't do that. Why won't you do that? Why are you so afraid? Why are you so afraid? I'm just curious. Why is it so difficult? I'm going to send you an invite. I want to talk to you about it. See if you'll come up.
Dude, you went on for like 5. I went out of TikTok.
I'm just curious. I do a show every day that's 4 hours long.
I went on my morning walk. You pop in, and then you're still here.
I do a show. I do a show every day from 8 till noon. So the question I have for you is this. It's really,
it's a lot
really
of TDS, host. I mean, come on, man.
Cool, great. Here's a question for you. It's a really, really simple question. Okay, let's see if you can have an adult conversation. I don't think you can, but let's see if you can. So your comments earlier were about fraud in Minnesota. So if you really cared about fraud, then why can you call out the president for pardoning fraudsters?
What is this whataboutism? Why can't you just focus and admit that the fraud in Minnesota is bad?
I'm asking you. So you can't do it.
Stop justifying it because you don't like what Trump does.
Fraud is bad. Fraud is bad. So now my question to you, I answered your question. My question to you is, why can you not be critical of the president for pardoning people who've committed fraud?
Absolutely, we can, but that doesn't justify you.
Wait a minute.
You're just like pivoting off because
do it.
It's all about Trump to you. You can't just say. Yeah, but you're criticizing Nick Shirley,
the 23-year-old YouTuber.
Yeah, you're not even looking into the fraud. You're just looking into him saying, "Oh well, you know, Nick Shirley's a bad dude." So we haven't. That's what I mean when you're justifying it.
We haven't looked into the fraud.
No, because you're saying if there is no fraud.
No. No one has ever said that. Absolutely no one has ever said that. So again, the question that I asked you before, I would like you to say something critical about Donald Trump for pardoning people who've committed fraud. Go ahead.
Again, you're pivoting. That's the problem, host.
Go ahead. Can you do it?
Host, I don't know which particular case. I'll have to look into it, and then I'll have to criticize whoever is criticizing Trump, just like you are with Nick Shirley. Do you see how that works?
How about this? Philip,
you're saying the hours of operation weren't correct.
Stop. Listen, I need you to listen. Okay, listen. I need you to listen to this. All right. Philip S. Formas ran a $1.2 billion nursing home fraud, bribed doctors, and bilked Medicare, and Trump pardoned him in 2020. Can you criticize that?
I'll have to look at the exact case. I'll have to see why he pardoned him. Just like you have to look into Nick Shirley to justify your point on why Minnesota is not the case of fraud at the places he went to.
So for real, what happened when Nick Shirley went to Ukraine?
I didn't see Nick Shirley went to Ukraine. I didn't see that video.
He did. So then you don't know anything about Nick Shirley, do you?
I know what I saw, what Nick Shirley put out on YouTube, absolutely, but I don't know every single video. I don't follow him.
Okay. So Nick Shirley went to Ukraine. He went to Western Ukraine, where there wasn't fighting, where there never was fighting, and made videos, viral videos, that claimed that the entire war was a hoax. And he walked around Western Ukraine, where there was no violence and no fighting, and made a video post, and people believed it. Do you think that's legitimate?
If he went to a certain area of Ukraine, he says there's no war there, then he's accurate. If he's saying there is no war in general, then he's inaccurate.
He said there was no war in Ukraine.
Do you want to play the clip? I know you've been going for 4 hours. Maybe you can play exactly what he said, because I didn't watch the video, so I don't know.
Of course you didn't watch the video, because you are believing the gullible nature of this. You're so convinced.
No, I watched the Nick Shirley video in Minnesota. Yeah,
you're right. And what did we learn from that?
Oh, that he can't enroll his kid Johnny into daycare because they all.
He doesn't have a kid. He doesn't have a kid. He's 23 years old.
Yeah, I know that. It's being facetious there, bro.
No, I'm just. So this is what I'm trying to determine.
What didn't you like about his? Did you watch the video?
I did, all 43 minutes. Did you?
Okay, yes. So what did you not like? Like, where are you saying that he went wrong?
It's not about what I don't like, for real. It's what he did. Okay, he went to facilities when they weren't open. He went there before hours and claimed that he should be able to just get into a daycare facility. Should anybody? Do you have kids?
Yeah. So specifically, the Leering Center, right?
Answer my question.
Wait a minute. The Leering Center. Those hours are supposed to
answer my question. I need you to answer.
That's irrelevant to this conversation,
bro. Because
yes, it's absolutely relevant.
No, it's not. No, it's not. You asked me to address what I learned from that video, and I was answering, so I need you to now respond to the question I'm going to ask, okay?
I'm responding to it. What were the hours? No, which specific Leering Center are you talking about that was closed?
Once again, he went to a facility, and the hours posted were from 2 until 10 p.m. He went there
by law, when are they supposed to be open? When are they supposed to be open? There's 2 points about that. Absolutely, you need to look at the law. They need to be open at certain hours.
No, they don't.
And then you can go to the Wayback Machine and see they just recently updated their hours. Go ahead, prove it. They just recently updated their hours. You know, if you can go to Google, type in.
Bro, you just made a claim that I need you to
can look it up.
Hold on. You just made a claim that by law they have to be open certain hours. Go ahead and prove it. I'll wait.
Okay. And then while I'm doing that, look up the hours they originally had, and they recently updated it.
When did they update it? Do you know?
Just type in the Wayback Machine, you can see it.
No, I'm asking you, since you made the claim. That's 2 claims.
Yeah, let me get you both of those. Give me 1 second.
Go for it. Go ahead. You can pull up the law. I want people to understand that For Real's claim was there's a law that a private business has to be open at a certain time. They are an aftercare facility. The schools around them close at 2:15. They're open from 2 until 10. There is no law. You lied. You're supposed to be looking that up. Why are you not doing that?
Looking it up. I'm not. Why am I going to talk to you when you said you'd give me a second to look it up?
I'm going to play some sound for you, okay? While you're doing that.
I like Jeopardy sound if you can.
Great. I'm going to play this for you. Listen.
YouTuber from Utah who calls himself an independent journalist and was a guest at Trump's Antifa roundtable for right-wing influencers back in October, posted a video on December 26th called "I Exposed Minnesota's billion-dollar fraud scandal." It has gotten 1.4 million views on YouTube and over 100 million views on Twitter in 3 days. It caught Trump's attention and received praise from the likes of J.D. Vance and FBI Director Kash Patel. It has spurred on federal and state investigations and instigated responses from officials across the federal and Minnesota state governments. This is just bad journalism journalism. In the day of independent journalists, no-name 23-year-olds with no training who can pick up a camera and show up anywhere asking outlandish questions no one can answer and putting dramatic music in the background, they can convince a surprising amount of the public that they're doing hard-hitting investigative journalism. In his viral video exposing Minnesota's fraud scandal, Nick Shirley interviews a man named David, no last name provided, who has been doing his own research to discover Somali fraud in Minnesota, which includes numbers on a piece of paper that he likes to wave around and visiting child daycare centers upwards of 100 times to see if he can get a look at the children. Before they head out to investigate the fraud, David warns Shirley that these people are incredibly violent.
Okay, so we have to be careful because these people are very violent. They're exceptionally violent.
Shirley and David go to a child care center and determine that because they cannot see in and the doors are locked in the middle of the day, then that means there is fraud. There couldn't possibly be children inside this center that two grown men and a cameraman can't just wander into freely. Clearly fraud. Shirley then points out as a complete non sequitur that the recently redesigned Minnesota flag looks suspiciously like the Somali flag.
And here in Minnesota, if you take a look at the Minnesota state flag, they recently changed it, and it very much so resembles the flag of Somalia.
Because both are blue and have a star. Stars in the color blue are very unique for flags, as we all know. The clearest answer is that there was a conspiracy to make the Minnesota flag look like the Somali flag. Not that we had a whole-ass contest to pick a new flag, which included a statewide open submission of flag ideas, which received over 2,000 submissions, including drawings from children and also just a photo of Duke, the dog mayor of Cormorant Village. But yeah, no, it's a Somali conspiracy. The problem for Nick Shirley and the type of people who fall for this investigative journalism is that two things can be true at the same time, and they really struggle with the cognitive reasoning required for that level of critical thinking. There can be fraud happening. Some of the fraud could be committed by people of Somali origin, and also the Somali community as a whole can be mostly made up of good, law-abiding, tax-paying people. Just like the white person community or the black community, the crimes of individuals do not equate to proclivity for crime in a whole community of people. And when you make sweeping statements to the contrary, these people are dangerous, they're insular and secretive, all fraud is being committed by Somali immigrants. That is, in fact, racism. You are equating an individual or group of individuals to the entire group based on their ethnicity. You are bunching them all together and slapping them with negative labels. That is racism. And it is people like Nick Shirley who are exploiting the racism and increased fear of immigrants to get views and sensationalize real news stories.
Yeah, I already watched the video.
She's talking to you.
Just go watch the video, dude.
She's talking to you.
It takes 45 minutes.
She's talking to you about how gullible you are.
Under Minnesota Child Care Licensing Rule Chapter 9503, a program is defined as a child care program, normal waking hours, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., dude.
You said law.
6 a.m. I just gave you the chapter rule number.
No, you said law. You said law.
Okay, I got it.
You said law.
Now you're pivoting because I brought it up. All right, got it.
Did you or did you not
say it was law?
Want
to also go about how they changed their hours, too?
Did you or did you not say it was a law? Yes or no?
Okay. I just read you the chapter number. Is it correct? Am I correct or not?
That's not what I asked. You said
it's a requirement within the legal bounds of a daycare facility.
Did you or did you not say it was a law?
I get it. You want to play semantics. I get it.
Did you or did you not? Did you or did you not say it was a law?
What? Did I read the chapter to you? Yes or no?
Did you? Again,
is it a requirement? Yes or no?
You said law.
Oh, you're so disingenuous, host.
I'm disingenuous?
Yeah, you are, dude.
I'm not the one that said it was a law.
It said 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. You can look it up, man.
I'm not the one that said it was a law. That was you, not me. You're the one that said it was a law. Here's some more sound for you since Nick Shirley is your hero.
Read it again for you, host.
Did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came
licensing
at 11
rules. What does that mean?
I believe, and I also came the following day, later in the day. The point of it is not whether or not I came at the right time of their operation hours. The point is that blacked out doors, they can't give you any information. You call that number, no one answers. I wasn't trying to go inside, and there should be a way for somebody to actually be able to call that number and somebody to be able to answer. These aren't real businesses.
But surely you don't think a daycare should just be unlocked. You shouldn't be able to just walk into a daycare.
Be a reception.
No, every daycare is locked.
Their doors are locked.
And so, okay, you bring up a fair point. Then,
did you come during their normal operating hours when you came to visit?
I came at 11.
No comment on that, Cupcake? No comment on that?
Listen up, sweetheart. Child care licensing rule, Minnesota rule.
No comment on that, right? So again, this is my point. I'm glad we had that conversation because this is my point. My point with you people is that you are going to choose somebody who is a known conspiracy theorist. You notice when I asked him the question about Ukraine, because he didn't bother to look into it. He didn't even realize that Nick Shirley went to Ukraine and went to Western Ukraine where there was no war, and then went public with statements saying, see, there's no war in Ukraine. You see what I mean? I want to bring up both of you. Hello, my friends, and Happy New Year to you both.
Happy New Year to my favorite, beautiful AI, Richard Gere.
I just want you guys to know before I make any decisions, before I make any big decisions in my life, I'm going to run it by Nick Shirley to make sure that it's justified.
That was oh my God. Erica, did you have something before I read this?
No, you can read it. I want to hear it.
So he pulled up licensing under Minnesota rules for childcare centers. Yeah, he said law, then he switched to rules. Doesn't matter though, because how they would define the license or distribute the license out to Minnesota childcare, they would determine whether it's a daycare or night care or after school care based off of the hours, and they have fine lines for that: 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., 6 p.m. to 6 a.m. That would determine the kind of licensing you get. The licensing does not determine the hours you can be open. That's not how that works.
Hector, I hate you. That's exactly what I came up here for.
Damn it, Hawk.
Private businesses can't. You mean private businesses can't set their own hours?
Wow. But the thing is they've got like 4 or 5 different programs. They got a daycare. I'm good, sir. How are you? They've got a daycare, a drop-in care, a night care, a sick care, a school age child care. They have like 6 different categories with different hours for all of them. So he just picked out the one he wanted to try to prove his point.
Of course he did. That's for fake. For real is not for real. He's for fake.
For fake is crazy.
Erica, how are you?
I'm doing well. I hope everyone is having a happy new year. Hi, Mr. Hawk.
Good morning.
Good morning. So the thing about it is that within that video, he only provides claims, so speculation. He didn't provide any type of evidence that fraud was actually happening, yet the people who wanted to believe it ran with it. There is no evidence of fraud that is actually being done there. I mean, even like audits have been conducted and they haven't found fraud. And the program, one of the programs that he's talking about, CCAP, is that the children have to be verified. So they go through a verification process, and the daycare centers have to prove that the children actually do attend the daycare, which they have done. And so where's the fraud? Where's the fraud? Like, to get like almost $2 million that he's claiming that one center did itself, which was I believe the Leering Center, because that's what the typo that they had in their signage. You would literally have to have hundreds of children attending this facility. And then also another thing is that you would literally have to have them there almost 24/7 in order for them to get that type of money. It's just not possible. And my whole thing is, and it kind of makes me emotional, is because Donald Trump is just using this simply as a gateway to begin denationalization.
Agreed.
He's signaling out a group of people. He's making people a target once again, because that's his MO. It's literally what he does to people in order to start his, basically to continue his campaign of remigration, of making this the white Christian society that he his masters wanted to be. Because Donald Trump really doesn't care. He doesn't care much about anything unless it serves him. So he's making it the white Christian nation that Stephen Miller wants it to be.
6,000%.
I totally agree. So for fake and CJXR and all of you MAGA simps that are in the chat right now, I'm going to do a little experiment. I'm going to play a game and I want you to see what it looks like when I ask people with integrity an honest question. Hawk, Erica, Hector, if there is fraud connected to this, what would you like to see happen?
Prosecution to the fullest extent of the law.
Thank you, Erica.
Prosecution. And restitution.
Hawk?
People need to be reimbursed.
Hawk? You're muted. Same answer, I'm assuming. You see how easy that is?
I'm sorry, my mic was off. Yeah, I agree with everybody else. Prosecution and punish them to the fullest extent. Absolutely.
You see, it's not that difficult when we recognize crimes. We don't go into this just assuming, again, I don't know about you guys, but I find it almost a little bit dangerous to trust a 23-year-old, nothing against his age, nothing against him wanting to make a living doing YouTube, but somebody who continually and regularly spreads misinformation and lies. I would not put my eggs in that basket. Unlike you guys, MAGA, we are willing to say fraud, bad, investigate fraud, find crime. If it's there, investigate, charge, convict. If a jury says so, send him to jail and move the fuck on. It's not that hard.
To Erica's point on that as well, it would be different if he actually did investigative journalism and he had proof and data and documents to back up his claims. He doesn't. He just made an accusation and we're just supposed to believe that with no proof.
Made an accusation, made that video just to create doubt based off of things that people do not know or understand. The average person doesn't know how daycare works. I had my first experience with a daycare. I don't have children, but I had a niece a couple years ago. And this was actually a little bit before the pandemic when they started locking down a lot more. And we should all be thankful that they did. And I went to this daycare center, and mind you, this is in a red state, red county. And the door was unlocked. You can walk in, but there was still a separate section. Like, you couldn't just stroll into the kids section. You have to check in with the front desk. And they fingerprint scanned me. I had to get registered into the system. They had to call my sister-in-law to confirm that I was who I said I was, and they got me documented and everything. It was a couple minutes where they vetted me before I was allowed to check out my niece. And even then, I still wasn't allowed to go in the back. And again, this is a red state, so I'm glad now in other places that they don't even have the door just unlocked for anyone to walk in. So the fact that this guy thinks that he could just do that and ask to see people's kids and vet stuff, if you guys ever saw a video of a man who's just allowed in to look around the daycare center and just walk around your kids, especially someone who's been to these rallies and stuff you mentioned in that clip, sue them. Get your kids out of there. We should be thankful that man wasn't allowed to go anywhere near. He shouldn't even been on the premises. He should have been arrested for trespassing.
Somebody just pointed this out in the comments too. Somebody just said he also went to CCOT. I forgot all about that. He went to CCOT and did video from sections of the prison that apparently weren't as bad as the rest and tried to claim that it wasn't as bad as people have been saying.
What a crazy thing to do. Wow.
The same guy. And to piggyback on something Erica said earlier, to me, this feels just like Springfield, Ohio all over again. Let's target brown communities. Let's target immigrant communities. And then what did we see happen in Springfield? Threats against the Haitian community. Schools had to close because of bomb threats. Now we're seeing threats against the Somali community in Minneapolis. We're seeing other pussy-ass bitch little YouTube creators trying to do the exact same thing in other parts of the state. This is what happens. This is what happens.
To go back to the daycare issue so people understand, and I don't know how many of y'all know this, I was a teacher for 15 years. And the rules are basically the same, right? Even through high school, the rules are basically the same, just not anybody can walk into the building. But here's the real rub. There are governmental organizations designed to do exactly what he was doing. So if he thought that there was something going on, he should have reported it to those agencies, and then they would have went in and done an accurate audit to determine if anything was actually wrong or not. He didn't do that. He just went in like he could do it himself because he's whatever the hell he thinks he is or whatever. CPS would be involved. There's all kinds of things that they have in place to protect those children. And he could have went that route to find out if anything was actually wrong. And he didn't. He just made stuff up.
But the Somalians got that deep in there, Hawk. We got corruption at the highest level. You know, them Somalians control them too. They're bought and paid for with their ITIN numbers.
Well, sir, if you can provide me any data to prove that, I will take your word for it. But I need to see some data.
Well, Trump. To your point, Hector, there's a whole bunch, exactly, Trump. Not only was it Nick and his cameraman, but also masked thugs like his security detail with masks on their face. Like, we're just going to let them into daycare facilities? I mean, come on.
And then the purely emotional reaction of the Trump administration freezing funding for child daycare centers is absolutely
Crazy.
abhorrent. And claiming that they have to go through additional verification steps. Oh, okay, all right. And then once they verify, then what? And saying that Minnesota has to do even more verification. I just think that this is purely emotional, purely reactionary, also, of course, hate filled. And it just shows that we do not have a good leader in office. Donald Trump is not a good leader because a good leader would basically demand for an investigation. And then once the investigation is complete, make decisions to reform the system. But no, Donald Trump is all basically, he's just very reactive. There's no proactive within him. He's just a reactionary person, and it's quite scary.
All that is so true. To me, this whole thing comes down to the fact that they are so desperate that they are putting their faith in a 23-year-old known conspiracy theorist YouTuber. That shows, I mean, again, they're criticizing Jack Smith's testimony, saying Jack Smith's lying, lock him up. But yet, Nick Shirley is the truth teller. Man, oh man, we got some work to do. I'm going to wrap, but I want to give you guys last word. We'll start with Hawk. Anything else you'd like to add, sir, or anything you'd like to share or talk about? The mic is yours.
The first thing that comes to mind is we are now at the very beginning of 2026, and we know that the midterms are coming up this year. We got to do the midterms because we got to get some control over Congress to make Congress do their job. And then we could, at a minimum, we could slow down this craziness and put some checks on this person. If we don't do that, we're up for 3 more years of hell. So midterms is a big deal. Everybody, please pay attention to what's going on in your area for midterms.
Hawk, thank you, sir. It's a pleasure. Happy New Year. I'm going to drop you down. Appreciate you being here.
Same to you. Thank you. See you guys.
You got it. Hector, you're next because Erica gets to go last. What's on your mind, friend?
Josh Williams in Ohio is now asked in a letter that's co-signed by 42 other representatives for the Ohio Department of Youth and Children, or Children and Youth, which one of those ways, to now go look into child care centers. At least he went to the right department and is having them do it. But now we're seeing other representatives from red states pulling this BS. Friendly reminder, specifically in Ohio law, and I'm pretty sure this is broadly in other states as well, even more so maybe in blue states, they already have to have unannounced check-ins by these departments to ensure that the right thing is being done. But now this is sparking this movement across the country to find fraud, to find some sketchy stuff taking place at these childcare centers, because the Trump administration and his stupid base don't actually have evidence and proof of things. It's find something so that their conspiracy claims can be true. It's a desperate attempt to demonize people. It's a desperate attempt to back up what Doge was actually supposed to do, because we realized that was a big joke. And it's quite embarrassing. Do better, MAGA. Do better.
Do better. Thank you, my brother. I appreciate you. Happy New Year. I'm sure our paths will cross. Have a great day and an even better weekend.
Absolutely.
Later.
Happy New Year, bud.
All right, you too. Bye.
Hi, Hector.
Erica, how would you like to wrap us up today?
Yeah, just how easy it is for them to lie, because even the Minnesota House Speaker, Lisa DeMuth, all right, she's also a Republican, and she literally says that her office has been working with Nick Shirley in regards to investigating this fraud. And Nick Shirley himself responds with, "That's a lie. That's a lie." That's how easy it is for them to lie. And I wonder, why is it so easy for them to believe them? Why is it? But yes, I agree with Hawk. The midterms are coming up, and one thing that we have to remember is that we don't want corporate money in our politics. So we have to show support. Not private, but public donations are what we need. So we, the people, even if it's $5, $10, $20, however much it is you can spare to your candidate of choice, by all means, support them. Support them, because if we get behind these candidates, then we can help these people get into office so they don't have to seek out that private money. We have to be the one. So it has to be a people's movement. Let's do it like Mamdani style. Let's do it that way. So yeah, let's do it. Okay, awesome.
I appreciate you very, very much. Happy New Year. I'm sure I will see you around the streets this weekend. Thank you for being here, friend. If you guys don't follow Erica or Hector or Hawk, please make sure you follow them. Love you, friend. See you later. Take care.
More. Bye.
All right. Bye. What a great way to end for the week. Hawk, Erica, and Hector absolutely right about the midterms. You guys know how I feel about that, how we need to get more people to the polls. We don't need MAGA to win elections. We are certainly here to, at this point, it feels like shaming them because of their convictions. Again, just to wrap, imagine being so lost or so in denial of what's happening around them that they're putting their faith into Nick Shirley. That explains a lot. Friends, we'll wrap there. Come back here tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern time for Facts After Dark. Simple question tonight. Are you okay? It's probably a good opportunity for a mental health check-in. Let's kick off the year the right way. You probably got a lot of stuff you want to get off your chest. If you trust me, I'll be there to listen. That'll be tonight at 7 o'clock right here. Danny is still streaming more of Jack Smith's testimony if you want to check that out. I love you, friends. Thank you for all the gifts. Thank you for all the comments and the likes. I appreciate you all. We'll see you tonight, 7 o'clock Eastern time. Until then, friends, please, please, please